There we go. That's what we were waiting for. It feels like it gets longer and longer and longer with like that weird pause before the show actually starts.
That was like the longest. That was like the longest 1 minute ever.
That is why we call it the minute we're never going to get back in our lives. Every single show. But with that in mind, everybody, hello once again, and welcome into episode 24 of Press Row. As always, serving as your front row seat to the intersection of sports, business, media, and culture, right here on the Empty the Bench Network. As always, presented by Playback and by Novig. That is a clean-shaving Nick Morgeson in Plainview, New York. I'm Cal McClurg here in San Diego, where the thermostat in the house has finally dipped below 70 degrees for the first time all fall. And, of course, we have another action-packed show today of 3 hours worth of topics, takes, deep dives, and more ahead. As always, we encourage you to follow us on social media. We're on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. We're all at ETB Network. And also be sure to smash the subscribe button over at youtube.com/ETB Network. And let's grow past 1,000 subs. More importantly, let's get to 4,000 watch hours. We're getting there ever so slowly. We're also, as always, proudly brought to you by our friends at Playback TV, the real-time fan-first experience where you can watch games with us, react live, jump on mic, and connect with your fellow sports diehards across the NBA, Major League Baseball, soccer, and so much more, all happening here on Playback. Sign up for free today at playback.tv and never watch sports alone again. And we're also powered by the Novik Sports Prediction Market. They are America's #1 sports prediction market, available right now, presumably in 30 to 35 states. On Novig, you're 10 times more likely to win long-term compared to a traditional sports book because you're playing against real users and not against the house. Sign up today for free. Use promo code ETB Network for exclusive sign-up bonuses. And all Playback TV content is now also simulcasting on our Kick and Twitch channels, also at ETB Network. Mr. Morgeson, we were just talking beforehand. Where is the blowtorch at? Because I think we're going to be burning a lot of things to the ground here on our program here before we go to the holiday break coming up next week.
Yeah, a lot going on, especially in my neck of the woods in New York HQ over here. But yeah, get ready because there's going to be a lot of unpopular opinions during this show, including one Cam Skattebo of the New York Giants. Of course, everyone in our Slack chat was giving me crap because I said that he's being an idiot while sitting on the sidelines, and of course being part of the WWE event. We'll get there because there's so many wrong things about that situation. You and I think, agreed on most of what was going on in that situation, but that's one big story we're following. We're obviously going to follow more MLB gate, whether it's the gambling situation, whether it's the new media deals, which were officially announced yesterday. We're going to break those down to the best of our abilities. I actually think Manfred did, I can't believe I'm going to say this, a decently good job for the most part. Now, is there too many streaming options? Yeah, that's still an issue, but did a pretty good job on that front. Also, we'll get to now 2 big-time NBA head coaches calling for a shorter season, and I'm going to tell you later why they're both completely 1,000% wrong. What else do we got? Oh, we're going to do an update on the big UC investment fund situation and how Michigan might decide to go independent. Yeah, keep that in the back of your mind. We're going to talk about that later. The NFL plans more international games.
Why?
We have enough for right. And I saw Scott Hansen made the announcement earlier today that they are going to Australia next year. So
Aussie.
They're talking about 9 international games, possibly. And the Saints might be going to Paris in the next year or two. But how many more places? Like, Roger's talking about in the next 2 or 3 years having an international game a week. A week! We're talking about 17 international games. So we have a lot to get into, and we have plenty of time, so we're going to get through it all. I'm just making sure, just to tease anything else. Oh, we're going to talk about NBCSN later, which is interesting the way they set that channel up. But yeah, and James Franklin obviously landing in Virginia Tech, which is not surprising. We all knew he was going to get a job at some point. Did I think it was going to be this quick? Absolutely not. And not in the middle of a season either. So let's get started because we got a lot to get into.
Yeah, we got a lot to get to here today, folks, as we get moving here. Nick, we're going to leave things off, though, again in college athletics, though, but another announcement made from the set to relaunch Pac 12 conference, who will have new members across the Pacific and Mountain time zones. Plus, though, Nick, of course, the ever big question or question marks. A non-football member in Gonzaga University and football-only member Texas State University have now announced a new definitive media right deal with USA Sports that will run through the 2030-31 season. The deal is set to be structured as a significant revenue boost, with the primary incentive being the immediate relaunch of the Pac-12 network on the USA Sports platform, ensuring continued national visibility and the survival of the conference's identity and their branding. The deal also provides the long-term stability needed for the schools to continue operating as a major conference and potentially attract even more expansion partners. Of course, Nick, we know though as well that the Pac-12 is still, I believe, in search of one more football-only member to keep the conference at 8 schools for football. Again, Gonzaga is non-football. Texas State was the first team that they added in for football-only reasons. But though, Nick Morgeson, does this media right deal with USA Sports, which focuses on preserving the Pac-12 network and branding, provide, though, the necessary long-term financial but also logistical stability for the schools to officially be considered a thriving major conference rather than one just skating by, Nick? I don't care how many members they add. This conference is skating by on very, very thin ice.
You and I discussed this the other night. This is not the Pac-12. Okay, this is what I like to call the fake version of the Pac-12, where there's really no West Coast schools. It's become more like Pac-12 Central, the way this is being formed. And this is now the second deal. Now, I think USA Sports is under Versant, right?
Yes. So, their first deal was with CBS, Paramount, and the CW.
No, but right. But I'm saying, so Versant just made a deal with the WNBA for USA Network, right? So it seems like USA is now picking back up again with sports. It's been quite a long time. However you slice this, the Pac-12 is not the same brand as it once was when
not at all.
They used to have games on ESPN on late night, or like you would stay up for the West Coast games for the Pac-12, and that was your spot. The Pac-12 is fake. This is like Pac-12 version 1000. The way this is going. Like, are they? So you were asking, does it help the brand, or does it preserve it? There's no brand.
Correct.
So how can you say that it's preserving a brand if the Pac-12 brand or the Pac-12 network and the brand don't exist anymore currently? Now, is it providing necessary long-term financial logistical stability? First of all, you won't know the answer to that until they start showing the games again on USA Network, and we won't know. That's the biggest issue you run into logistically, as the wording you put it. Now, the stability for the remaining 4 schools to officially be considered a thriving major. It's not a thriving conference. That's part of the issue. The Pac-12 is not the thriving conference it once was, because everyone, with all the realignment going on, I don't know what you're supposed to do, because you have central schools going west, you have East Coast going central. It's like a big game of musical chairs when it comes to the Pac-12 or any conference in that matter, because they're all running for the money and not the glory, the glam and the glory. This is all they care about, because they're going to run farthest and desperately for the almighty dollar than they are to play football. Now, Callan said it best, where basically, I'm trying to remember the exact statement you made because it just went out of my head, but they're not there to play games. They're there for money. They're there for desperation to keep the programs afloat. One thing Callan did say is that most of these programs, all they care about is football. I agree, because in technicality, and this is not me throwing out something that's ridiculous, but these schools only care about football because they think that's what carries their financial line or financial bottom line, I should say. So I don't think it's a preserving of the brand situation. I think it's a preserving of paying the bills and keeping the bottom line afloat. So I think this has nothing to do with brand.
I don't think so either. Again, Nick, and as you have brought up with Zan or with DiMartino in the past when you've talked about the Pac-12, this in a way for a lot of people feels like a watered down version of the Mountain West or the glory days of the original WAC, when all the schools that have defected from the Mountain West to the new Pac-12, where it doesn't feel or have that feel. If this was the Pac-12 of 5 to 10 years ago with SC, UCLA, and then these schools join, then absolutely I would be all for it. But just the fact, though, that you're going to a conference, though, that, again, only had 2 members stay behind and didn't defect because, well, hey, this is the Pac-12. How can we let this happen? So what have they done? They being Oregon State and Washington State, they have basically been independent for football all year, other than playing themselves, I think, home and home to play conference games. But they've been having a working agreement with the Mountain West Conference to schedule games. I think Wazoo played San Diego State. I think Oregon State already played San Diego State. They would play the other schools who are going to join the conference. But like I said, though, it depends, though, on who you talk to in this market here where I live about how do you feel about the Pac-12. And so many people have said, well, hey, it's just the name of the Pac-12.
No,
and that's all they're seeing is it's just
the
the name of the Pac-12. But away from that, though, a lot of people have said, though, it's cool, but it doesn't really elevate us because it's still a glorified Mountain West Conference. It's a glorified WAC from 1978. It's a glorified, watered-down version of the Pac-12, only surviving because certain members left and certain members wanted to stay behind, though. Will it help, though, with TV, maybe on CBS or the CW or on USA? I don't think so. And we also do know still too, Nick, that both conferences are still in litigation right now when it boils down to the ongoing, talking of the fees when it comes to poaching and realignment. And that's
or the movement of the teams. Because remember, there was a lawsuit between the Mountain West and what was it? I forgot which team it was, but
Grand Canyon.
We talked about it on here that they were so desperate to move for the money that the Mountain West said, no, you're not moving. You have a deal with us. And
they basically said to all those schools, so SDSU, Fresno State, Colorado State, all the schools who are going to leave for the new Pac-12, once you signed and announced your intentions to leave and go to the Pac-12,
you gave
up all your voting power. You gave up everything that you had tied to the conference. You have no say. Good riddance.
And you got to pay. Because a lot of times when you make these deals to go to conferences and then you say, I'm out of here, because they're getting money from the conferences to go there. And the conferences say, no, you're going to either pay or we're going to sue you up the Stone Age until you give us back the money. Look what's happening currently with the UCLA, what was it? The UCLA thing we talked about where
with them wanting to go from the Rose Bowl to SoFi Stadium.
Now, being 35 miles is a long time away to get to a stadium. But at the same time, you can't just get up if you're in the middle of a deal that they're paying for the stadium, by the way.
Yeah.
And say, oh, I'm going to go play at, why am I forgetting? SoFi. And you can't do that. You can't just get up and say, oh, I don't like my deal anymore. I'm out of here. It's the same thing for conferences. Oh, I don't like this anymore. I can go get money over here. And this is the problem. Excuse me. But everyone wants to move. It's the wild, wild west of movement and realignments. You're going to hear that word a ton too, where do I really want to see Rutgers traveling all the way across the country to go play UCLA or USC? Or
no?
Why are you doing that? Because there's so much money involved with going to play these games. You're not going there for your health. No. You're not going there for the beach weather.
That also, Nick, goes to my other point that I have been vocal about is that's realignment that won't work. Realignment, though, Nick, that will work is like the Pac-12, for example. Gonzaga leaves as a non-bas for, I get it, non-football, but they're going to a conference still within their marketplace on the West Coast. UC San Diego leaving the Big West for the West Coast Conference in 2 years. That makes sense. Denver University leaving the Summit League for the WCC next year, despite not having spring sports because of the weather. That makes sense. My point is, if you're going to realign, it should be realigned geographically, not to go chase the dollars and cents, because look at where we're at with the ACC, with Cal and Stanford going all the way out east and playing. As you said, Rutgers, for example, Penn State, for example, Iowa, for example, coming from 2 time zones away out to the West Coast to play games or vice versa. And it's not just about the football, Nick, as I always say. It's the toll, though, it takes on the other sports, though, that, and by the way, Nick, last Saturday, I saw a boatload, and I mean a boatload, of Score Act ads during the college football windows on Saturday.
Wait, you saw what?
Ads for the Score Act about that more money needs to be poured into Olympic and non-revenue generating sports and not make it about football and basketball, a la my big talking point on this platform.
And we all know that's never going to happen. But
sadly, it's never going to happen.
But I hate to say it, but like football is the massive revenue builder. College football. Let me be clear about that. So people know, no, college football is a big revenue builder for the schools and the markets that it resides in, which people don't admit, because there are some schools that just, like Gonzaga, who's not even a football school, and somehow they end up in the Pac-12 for football, which made no sense.
They get a full share of the conference revenue from football, and they don't even play football,
which makes no sense to me. Like I don't know where that decision comes from, but that's the big joke of the show that we have called Forever Power 5. Because do you know what the joke is behind that or no?
I do, but maybe remind the viewers why it's called that.
So there used to be 5 conferences.
Right.
Until what was the one they combined? Because technically, or did they just get rid of one?
They just got rid of one.
So that was the big joke. Like there used to be 5 conferences. There's enough for 5 conferences, but then they depleted the Pac-12 also. And now they're trying to bring it back. I don't understand this. Originally, they said, "Oh, well, we only have 2 teams in the Pac-12, so we got to get rid of it." Now all of a sudden, we're going back the other direction. We're bringing back the Pac-12. You know why? Because they said, "Oh, we don't want to kill the branding. Let's do a branding exercise, even though the schools are not from the Pac-12, and we'll create a fake Pac-12 and we'll bring everybody back." It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't, Nick. And like I said, you can ask, 100 people on the street corners here in San Diego about their thoughts of SDSU moving, and you'll get 100 different answers.
And how desperate they are. They're willing to travel across the East Coast from the West Coast just to make the Pac-12 branding survive.
I don't get it. Nick, let's go back to baseball. Let's do a follow-up real quick on the ongoing Cleveland Guardians betting scandal. But, Nick, within the last couple days, if not week or so, Guardians pitcher Emmanuel Clase was formally arrested upon his instant arrival at JFK Airport in your neck of the woods in New York after authorities confirmed his indictment on federal fraud charges related to the ongoing and expanding MLB gambling scandal. Clase had been out of the country and was apprehended upon returning. His indictment involves charges of taking bribes to help gamblers profit on specific pitch-by-pitch prop betting, including speed and outcome placed on games in June. His immediate arrest upon reentry underscores the seriousness and also jurisdictional reach of a federal investigation. Nick, following Clase's arrest upon returning back to the country, does the public spectacle of a major league player being arrested and apprehended at an international airport serve as a necessary and powerful deterrent for other pro athletes considering illegal gambling? The answer is no.
This is ridiculous. I don't know how many times you and I have said this on Press Row the past couple of weeks, but just because you arrest somebody, that's not going to deter the next idiot athlete from going out and trying to make a buck, even though they're making hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, go ask the NBA how that's working out right about now. But like I said, the only way you're going to stop this is by not allowing prop bets or any betting for professional athletes. Let me be very clear about that. If you're the average Joe and you don't play a professional athlete, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But if you're a professional athlete, they just need to say 0 tolerance. If you get caught in anything, now, innocent until proven guilty. If something happens, it's got to be proven that there's evidence that it happened. But if it's confirmed and you are stuck in a gambling ring or with the mafia or whatever, you're permanently banned from your sport. And that's it.
It would be nice if we had a week where we didn't have to talk about gambling happening in sports in some fashion. I think though, Nick, it's been this way though. As I said last week, though, all these gambling scandals that we've been talking about with both the NBA and overseas soccer, what have you, Major League Baseball, they are only going to get worse before they get better.
True.
And in a way, Nick, this is a very interesting tie-in to later down the road when we get to episode 4 of ETB Small Market Edition, where I talk about Matt Bush, who was a high school baseball prodigy. I was Matt's bat boy when he played with my older brother at Mission Bay High for Dennis Pugh here in San Diego. You probably know the name well because of all the off the field stuff that happened. Matt was in the same exact spot when I think he was bouncing around after his problems in San Diego. He went to Toronto, I think, and he had a similar thing happen up there with the Blue Jays. Literally, he lands at Lindbergh Field here in San Diego and steps off the plane, walks in the terminal. Like Klaus say, he's put under arrest for what he had been doing. To bring it back, though, a bit to where we're at, though. Again, we heard, though, Nick, from last week about Rob Manfred saying that they're going to cap, the prop bets. I don't really give a crap about that.
Just make it stop.
I mean, and again, we have also said, though, how do you make it stop is the thing. Because sadly, Nick, we can, again, like I said last week, we can try to conjure up the secret formula of how we can make this finally go to bed. It's not going to, as long as the money keeps coming in from the gambling partners, as long as there is not proper guidance when it comes to in-person seminars. And I mean that seminars should be done monthly, not once before the season starts, about don't bet on it. I remember that being a big slogan when I first broke into college athletics as an announcer about probably, I'd say, 10 years ago, roughly. We were told, don't bet on it. And every player on their luggage tags had that on their luggage tags on the back, other than, it had their name, but also they had a separate one that said, don't bet on it. Call the number if you feel like you're being, scrutinized about it or whatever. But again, Nick, all this stuff is only going to get worse before it gets better as time goes on.
Well, I don't know if we were going to do this later on. Did we have the Jimmy Butler situation later on in the show?
But what is that one entailing again?
That was the one I told you about where he was walking on the street in Miami. He had like an ear pod in. He was drinking a coffee, and a car stopped him.
Someone stopped him and said, "Hey, because of your bum ass, my parlay got blown up."
Right, and this is the guys. Athletes are out there to perform. We have. First of all, you have no idea every single night what the stats are going to be, how they're going to play. But to call out an athlete on the street is all forms of wrong, in my opinion. And first of all, a bold statement, number one. And I don't blame Jimmy for being a little pissed off, too. Like, even though Jimmy's done a lot of ridiculous things on it.
By the way, Nick, that's a good tease, actually. That's a good tease, Nick, because we have a story later in the show that talks about that the Athletic had polled did a anonymous poll with players across every major pro sports league in North America, and they said that what they heard from players was haunting. It's a good tease, though.
Yeah, but because I'm just connecting it here, is that these players get scrutinized by people in public about bets. First of all, you made the bets. They play the games. So, so they didn't perform one night. You have to go scrutinize them because you didn't hit your bet. First of all, betting is a game of chance. There's no, even though you hear from all the, and I laugh at this every single day, gambling or betting analysts. I just think that's a funny job because, here's our gambling expert or our gambling out, like they're going to hit their bets 100% of the time that they give. And they try to tell you, you take this play, the percentages are this. Now that could be true. Some bets could be higher percentage
right
than others. It does not mean that it's going to hit every time something happens. Players have bad nights. Every athlete has a bad night. I'm sure when you played in college, you probably had a bad game or two.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
it happens. Like, so people got to relax on the front that just because they had a bad game, they were out to get my parlay and I didn't hit it.
Like any pro athlete, Nick, as we move on here, like any pro athlete, though, knows who the hell any of us are anyway. Give me a break.
But stopping them on the street is just outrageous.
Yeah. Nick, this is a very interesting angle from the NFL, but the league has formally filed a grievance against the NFL Players Association, requesting that the league seizes the annual team report cards that come out after the season concludes. The league has argued now that the report cards, which survey players on a variety of categories, including team facilities, coaching, and resources, violate the CBA by airing out public critical opinions of teams and ownership. But the NFLPA asserts that the report cards are essential for providing non-monetary transparency and holding teams accountable for player wellness and the environment. Nick, is the NFL's legal grievance against the NFL's PA team report cards justified to preserve internal privacy, or is it a overreaching maneuver designed to suppress public transparency and accountability for team owners and their operational failures? Nick, I'm going to call a foul here and call this a reach-in by Goodell in the NFL front office, but your thoughts on this?
This is the most ridiculous story I've ever heard. I mean, I laugh, by the way, when they put the grades out for the facility. Who has the best facilities? Who has the best representation? Who has the best coaching? Who has the best resources? Give me a break, NFL. Come on. Like, you're mad because they're actually trying to grade the facilities and stuff so that they can see who needs to be better? Like, this is the NFL, like, reaching. You know how they call holding... this is more like double holding. Like this is like tackling somebody. This is roughing the passer here. Like, so I don't know. This is a reach. I mean, the NFL will do anything to take a strangle of the power because no fun league, the Shield, they control everything.
I was going to say protect the Shield. Better protect the Shield.
So this is a ridiculous story, and let the NFLPA do the grading because that's protecting the players, which the NFL doesn't do with their $16, $17 billion bottom line. As they continue to be greedier and greedier. Oh, but we won't protect the players, and we don't want the report cards because then that means we got to spend money.
Yeah, I mean, Nick, I recall when this show was on a different platform a couple of years ago, and I remember, though, reading through the report cards one year. And, you had your usual suspects. The Chiefs were up there for the Hunt family ownership. The Kraft family was up there. The Cronkies were up there for the Broncos. Then you had teams, I think, like, obviously, the Chargers and the Spanos family were poorly graded, for example. The Bensons were poorly graded for the Saints at one point. The Vikings were up there when it came to facilities. The Chargers were, again, at the bottom. And this isn't me piling on my former franchise, but players out there shared some of the sentiments that I did, though, when it came to ownership of the franchise. But, Nick, in a way, though, this is like checks and balances in Washington, D.C. You need to have these in place in a sport like the NFL, though, Nick. Imagine, though, Nick, if we had this in the NBA, for example. Sadly, Brooklyn, Washington, maybe Indiana, maybe New Orleans would all be at the bottom right now because of where they're at.
Yeah, I mean,
but just imagine though if every sport went this way though. Now I think that sometimes that they might do it like off the record, like maybe the Athletic will. Again, we had that phony baloney story that we talked about in the dungeon last night about how they ranked the top 10 biggest transactions in the last 25 years of the NBA, and it was like certain teams drafting certain players, the trade of Luka Doncic, LeBron making his mind up to go to Miami, for example. Like maybe report cards could be that way in the NFL's mind. I think, though, Nick, you have to hear it, though, in a way from the horse's mouth. As you just said about 5 minutes ago, Jimmy Butler, for example, Nick, is out there to perform at a high level. All these guys in the NFL are there to perform and play the game at a high level for their franchises. Now, again, I think the Bengals and Browns were also like at the bottom when it came to ownership. But even then, though, Nick, their job is to go out there and play the game and in a way entertain a sellout stadium in their market, home or away.
Yeah.
If you strip away the players' right, in my opinion, to the whole, hey, free speech is one thing, but to actually give their thoughts. But also, Nick, you and I know these two words very well from our lines of work. Constructive criticism. Here is where you can improve, though, when it comes to getting us to the airport, fixing the hot tubs, making things better when it comes to post-game spreads, better nutrition, more Uncrustables after practices, whatever it might be, Nick. Constructive criticism for a league like the NFL should be warranted and I think is necessary because of how much power that damn front office has in their league, but also across all of North American pro sports.
See, I'm looking at the report cards now. Like, I found the ones from 25.
What do we got?
So
I'm eager to hear.
This is interesting. So Atlanta, which is one of the worst teams in the NFL right now,
but got good grades for ownership because of Arthur Blank.
So treatment of families A, food and dining area A, nutrition and dietitian A, locker room A plus, training room B, training staff A minus.
So that is Arthur Blank, who helped co-found Home Depot, who's the owner of them, the MLS franchise, and the newly formed NWSL team. And I believe he partially owns Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I've heard nothing but great things about Arthur Blank.
It's true, and he does a lot of charity work too.
Yes.
I'm trying to find an example that might make Cincinnati Bengals, who've had a very upsetting season.
The Brown family.
So treatment of families F minus.
Oh, ouch.
Food and dining area F.
Oh.
Nutrition and dietitian C. Locker room A plus, training room B plus, training staff A minus. So overall, they're like right in the middle, grade wise.
Okay. How about the two teams in your neck of the woods who play in Jersey, but want to be called New York?
Let's see if I can find. Okay, here we go. Treatment of families for the Giants C. Food dining area B. Nutrition dietitian C plus. Locker room C minus. Training room B minus, training staff B. So they don't have a single A.
So the Giant, and that's the Giants being owned by the Paul Mara family, right?
The John Mara.
John Mara, yeah. Thank you. Paul Mara was a hockey player for the Ducks.
Yeah.
How about for the JETS, Jets, go fight, win?
Neither team have an A in any category.
And that's obviously Woody Johnson being a cheap-ass owner.
Dingus. Let's see. Treatment of families, C minus. Dining and food area, C minus.
Wow.
Nutrition and dietitian B plus. Locker room D plus. Gee, I wonder why. Might have nothing to do with your head coach, huh?
You would think, though, that they would have the same adequate locker room space as the Giants as they co-share the damn stadium.
Well, locker room could mean like what's going on in locker room too.
Locker room culture. I'm just curious. How about the Spanos family organization in LA?
Well, so let me just finish. Training room C, training staff C. Nothing's above a B plus for the Jets, which is surprising. Now, who did you ask about?
The Chargers.
You might find this a little surprising, actually. So
I will say this, and the grades may have changed from when I last read the report cards a couple of years ago because now they have their new facility open, I believe, in Costa Mesa.
So treatment of families, C. Food and dining area. Now, I've heard a lot about their food and dining area, A minus.
Yeah.
I heard that they've really gone.
It's part of that new facility that they just opened up.
Nutrition and dietitian, B plus. Locker room A. Training room A minus, training staff A minus. So they got 4 A's.
So I think a lot of that is due to the fact that they have the new facility that's finally opened up, though. And, and Coach Harbaugh, I love the guy because he used to coach at my university. No nonsense guy, even though he's in shit with the NCAA for college football.
I'm going to give you one more just because it's interesting for this year.
Yeah, go ahead.
The Patriots are one of the best teams in the NFL, which no one expected this year.
Yeah.
Treatment of family C plus. Food and dining area C.
Whoa.
Nutrition and dietitian B. Locker room C minus, training room C minus, training staff C plus. They're all in the C range.
Yeah.
They have one of the best records in the NFL this year.
And kind of doing it with the Kraft family kind of not really investing a lot into facilities.
I'll give you one more just for the sake of it. The Titans, which have been ass.
In the words of Game Ward, yes.
Treatment of families B plus, food and dining area B plus, nutrition and dietitian B plus, locker room C minus, training room B minus, training staff B. See, the grades don't always translate because they're higher than the Jets and the Giants, and so sometimes it's not always the.
And I believe isn't that Bud Adams's family who now owns the franchise in Tennessee? Or is it a new ownership group?
I think so.
Interesting. Yeah, that is weird. All right, Nick, let's move on here to our next topic. This came out yesterday, but Major League Baseball formally announced a new 3-year media right deal with ESPN, NBC, Universal, and Netflix to dramatically shift the landscape of viewing baseball games beginning next season. With Sunday Night Baseball moving to NBC, Netflix takes over the Home Run Derby and the exclusive Yankees-Giants opening day game, while ESPN maintains a national midweek game package and acquires the rights to sell MLB.TV, the out-of-market package, and integrating it into the new ESPN app, with ESPN also gaining local in-market streaming rights for 6 teams, including the San Diego Padres here in town. So, Nick, considering the fragmentation of content across 3 major networks like NBC, ESPN, and Netflix, and the move of MLB.TV's exclusively to the ESPN app, is the new media right deal for baseball a fan-friendly evolution for the game? Will it create more friction and cost for the average consumer to watch baseball starting next season?
This is not family friendly. Give me a break.
No.
Not even close. This is, if I could play it a million times over. That's literally what it is. It's a money grab. After Rob Manfred almost got crucified for not making deals to get Major League Baseball its new TV contracts, which, by the way, I read in one of the reports that he was trying to copy Adam Silver and make those large deals. First of all, the NBA is much larger than your dumbass sport. But there's too much movement going on in this deal. Trying to differentiate that, I was trying to do all the reading up on it. And as part of the agreements which cover the 26 to 28 MLB season, by the way, very short-term deals, by the way.
They must be anticipating, I'm shocked, Nick, that the deal went beyond a year because of so much of the uncertainty involving the potential lockout coming up.
I think you don't have a choice because you don't want to be back out on the market again after 1 year. The league's long-standing relationship with ESPN will continue after the rumors we heard that they might not. NBC will return to regularly airing games. The first time since the 90s?
I believe so, if not longer.
For the first time in a quarter century. Oh, yeah, so that was like the 90s, right?
Yep.
Okay. And Netflix's engagement with MLB will expand from documentaries to live baseball. Who gives a shit?
Stop it.
Sunday Night Baseball will shift from ESPN, where it aired since 1990, to NBC Universal, which also secured the rights to Sunday Leadoff. I'm assuming that's that morning package that Roku had.
Yeah.
And then the Wild Card series in the postseason for NBC and Peacock. So if you want to watch Wild Card going forward, it's all on NBC, NBCSN, and Peacock going forward. Right. Netflix will now air the Home Run Derby. Who gives a shit? Does anyone care about the Home Run Derby?
I used to, but not anymore.
And the opening night exclusive, which features the Yankees and the Giants.
And you're not going to watch, and you're a damn Yankee fan because you don't feel like watching it on Netflix.
And I have Netflix. But Nick, you have Netflix. You might as well watch it.
How about no?
So, and then it also includes, Netflix also gets, oh God, they're going to get the Field of Dreams game?
Yes.
No! That was a TV staple! And they're going to get the World Baseball Classic in Japan.
Yeah, well,
But wait a minute. I thought Fox got rights to that.
Fox has rights, but I think just for everything not involving the Japan games, I want to say.
Oh, it's a separate event.
Yes.
I thought this was like that event they were talking about that's going to be on Fox.
No.
Okay. ESPN will receive a national midweek game package throughout the season while also acquiring the rights to MLB.TV, which, by the way, you're kind of effed because the Padres are part of that. But
but I have cable, and it's already included in our cable package.
Oh, right. So certain
the games are on local cable still, despite the fact that it's a MLB.TV now ESPN produced entity come next season.
So it says the league's out of market streaming service that sets a record with 19.4. Okay. I need to say this one more time because this pisses me off. They did this during the World Series.
They kept combining the numbers between Canada and the US for viewership.
So, and I don't blame MLB.com for this because I know they have to write a story, but they're talking about the acquiring of MLB.TV, the league's out of market streaming service that sets a record with 19.4 billion minutes watched in 2025. Who cares? You're keeping track.
You guys are advertising watch hours. Well, there's a difference.
We kind of need to. We need to get there to get to where we need to get. But is baseball really that desperate? 19.4 billion minutes?
I mean, they are kind of a dinosaur, as we've been saying, sadly.
Let's see. Let me just make sure. Oh, and here's another great one. Our new media rights agreement with ESPN, NBC Universal, and Netflix provides us with a great opportunity to expand our reach to fans through the 3 powerful destinations for live sports, entertainment, and marquee events, said Commissioner Rob Manfred.
Boo.
Following our last World Series game, now this is the statement that pisses me off. Following our last World Series game that averaged more than 51 million viewers globally.
That's not what I had in mind.
First of all, I don't give a shit about the numbers outside of the U.S. And by the way, I'm not putting down people outside of the U.S. I'm just saying those numbers don't mean anything. They're compounding the numbers because if they didn't, their numbers would be minuscule. If they didn't say it. We are building on MLB's growing momentum that includes generational stars setting new standards for excellence, new rules which improve the game on the field, and increases in important fan engagement metrics like viewership, attendance, participation, and social media consumption. Who are you
bleeping do?
Who are you fooling?
You.
So there is things that aren't changing, though. Fox and FS1 will continue to be the home of the All-Star Game and regular season games, as well as the World Series, the LCS, and the Division Series. TBS will continue to house LCS and Division Series telecasts. Now, here's the unfortunate part. Apple TV will continue to stream Friday Night Baseball doubleheaders.
We thought they were dead and buried and gone.
God damn it, Manfred. Who is watching this shit? Oh!
Oh, my goodness.
You want to know how it's bad? They won't reveal the numbers, ratings-wise. MLB and Netflix have previously collaborated on other docuseries like The Turnaround or The Comeback, the 2004 Red Sox, The Clubhouse docuseries. Netflix will open MLB's season the next 3 years with a single game on opening night. Oh, good. So if you didn't want to piss off MLB fans even more or want to watch MLB opening day, now they have to get Netflix if they want it.
Boo.
And by the way, I enjoyed the MLB Field of Dreams game the past couple of years. But you're taking it off TV.
Aren't they also moving the Little League Classic off of there, too, for Netflix as well, I believe?
I don't know about that, but Netflix will also exclusively deliver live and on-demand all 47 games of the 2026 World Baseball Classic to its audience in Japan. I think that's pretty much it. The Sunday night game will air on Peacock and NBCSN. Interesting.
Weird.
But it's not going to air on NBC, though? That doesn't make any sense.
That makes no sense.
This new deal reunites with two institutions, with NBC taking over Sunday Night Baseball, and then the Sunday night game will air on Peacock and NBCSN during weeks in which there's overlap with previous negotiated media rights deals. You realize that's going to be a problem for NBC, right? Where now, like everyone's saying, well, way to go, NBC! You made all these deals. You kind of made rights like that overlap one another. So how are you controlling
football, basketball, now baseball?
And then this one I just laugh at too. NBC will also air the Wild Card Series, which we talked about. NBC will also have a presence during All-Star Week.
Interesting.
The MLB Draft, no one cares, will move to Saturday of All-Star Week, where NBC and Peacock will present the first hour of the event. And then Peacock and NBCSN and MLB Network will carry the remainder of day one. NBC and Peacock will also present the Futures game.
Okay.
Which I don't think was really on TV ever.
It may have been on MLB Network, as far as I can remember.
That game, and then they will also. It says it will also feature the minor league baseball All-Star game on TV.
That's usually shown on MLB Network as well.
That game will be followed by a new event that will feature former players and celebrities, which will be streamed on Peacock. Is that the celebrity game?
Must be.
Peacock will regain rights to MLB's Sunday leadoff game, which it carried for the 2022-23 season. I don't remember that. Sunday leadoff will... Okay, so here's the interesting info, because Roku fucked this up.
Tell me about it.
Sunday leadoff will be a package of 18 games that start prior to... Okay, they didn't change this. 18 games that start prior to or around noon Eastern time on Sundays. So it was 9
a.m. Pacific.
So originally it was 11.
Yes, because the Padres played a game, I think, on there, and that's a 8 o'clock a.m. San Diego start time.
So I would say 9 a.m. is a little better than 8 a.m.
College football. I mean, that's like getting up to watch college football, for example, or the first day of March Madness.
So they finally learned and said maybe we should move it up to noon Eastern instead of 11 on Sunday. That'll be followed by MLB Network produced studio coverage of the full day of games. So they're going to show the game, and then they're going to do studio coverage. And it also says, and then Sunday Night Baseball also. So they're going to do a full day on top.
Here's Mike Tirico.
Oh, God. The Peacock service will also regularly feature a game of the day, which will be available to fans outside the markets of the clubs competing. So that's kind of like what happens with like Amazon when they show Thursday night, like you gain access to your market. But if you're not in that market, you get the game.
Yeah, exactly.
For ESPN, and I know we're going a little over here, but I think it's important to describe.
Yeah, no, we're good.
So MLB and the worldwide leader in sports. Yeah, I don't really call it that anymore. Have a partnership that dates back to 1990. Fans will now be able to purchase MLB.TV through ESPN to watch their favorite teams.
Oh, goodness
outside their home territory. Outside their home territory. ESPN is incorporating a service to its streaming platform. I don't care about the streaming percentage. During the term of the agreement, ESPN will be able to offer fans in-market games for the select MLB teams whose games are being produced and distributed by the league through the ESPN app. Fans will have the ability to purchase these subscriptions either independently as part of a bundle with MLB.TV or as part of a package with ESPN's app. Now,
which is extremely confusing because, as you were saying, though, because you thought I was going to be out of luck, though. But again, my parents and I have cable, so we get the games for the Padres on a designated station, on our package.
Because legally they have to.
They have to. And then, like a lot of other teams think that they put 10 games on CBS 8 here or the CW6 in San Diego that weren't on the, Padres.TV channel that people didn't have. We'll see how this plays out. I don't really know how to feel about it right now.
There's more info, though. So for the 2026 season, the local in-market streaming products will continue to be available through MLB's platforms.
Yes.
Note that MLB Network will continue to be available to fans purchasing an MLB.TV subscription and will remain available to fans through linear packages and a standalone direct-to-consumer offering. Now, I don't know if that means ESPN Unlimited also.
I don't know, but just thinking about that though, Nick, ESPN Unlimited now, that's like what, 30 a month for all the WWE PLEs and now Major League Baseball.
It depends, because when I had it for the week or two, it was 18 a month because you could purchase unlimited through a bundle, but it all depends what you're looking for. But like, the head explosion meme, like that's a little bit of everybody right now. And this is why baseball is struggling, because Rob Manfred is trying to reach his hand into 20 million cookie jars. And what's going to end up happening is the cover is going to slam shut and he's going to break his arm at some point, because if you're on Netflix, you're on Amazon, you're on NBC and Peacock, you're on ESPN, that's 5 right there. Fox, FS1, TBS, what is that, like 8? Like, How do you keep track? I miss the old days of ESPN and Fox and maybe TBS.
Same.
Okay. I think we babbled a lot.
But as a reminder, though, fans, don't just watch the game, experience it. Playback TV is where you go to hang out with your favorite host and thousands of fans. Watch the games live and react in real time across the NBA, MLB, soccer leagues around the world, and, of course, NFL Red Zone. It's all happening here with the real-time fan-first experience. Make your next game day a big day. Sign up for free at playback.tv. And, again, never watch Sports Alone again. And, of course, Nick, we got some NBA on Prime Video tomorrow that you'll be joining us in progress for tomorrow.
Yeah, so a lot of programming going on this time of the year, football forecast and the process, which, by the way, we only have like 4 or 5 regular season weeks left of that, and then the playoffs. And what do they say? The NFL, once it happens, it snaps by. College football's almost done too, so you'll be able to show up on some of the other shows as a fill-in. But yeah, I will be joining in progress for game 2. I forgot what the games. It actually was a decent doubleheader, right?
It's a pretty damn good doubleheader tomorrow on Prime Video.
So come over there, join us if you want to watch Kevin Harlan scream his head off. And I mean that in the nicest way possible, because I'm a big Kevin Harlan fan.
Tomorrow, by the way, we got NBA Cup action. Yay!
About time.
Indiana, Cleveland, and Denver, Houston tomorrow.
It's actually 2 really good games, actually. Even though
Pacers record fool you, by the way.
No, yeah, well, and also Cleveland getting fined $100K for sitting
we'll get to that a bit later in the show.
But yeah, playback.tv/ETB network. Join us and come watch the action as our community continues to grow. And I won't spoil it completely, but we already know you're doing Playback Lounge on Mondays.
Yes.
There could be, well, I shouldn't say there could be. There probably will be a weekend edition of Playback Lounge, which we were discussing with the new host last night. So 2 Playback Lounges. So playback.tv/ETB network. Join our community so that we can see you're there. Subscribe to our YouTube channel as well, because all our stuff goes there. YouTube.com/ETB network. The more you know, the more we can provide.
All right, a couple of final stories here for hour 1. Major League Soccer, along with numerous changes being made for the league schedule and league alignment come 2 years, but also announced a major bombshell, Nick, that we both predicted. They will be removing the Apple TV Plus subscription fee, removing the additional MLS Season Pass subscription requirement to watch games on Apple TV. The pivot, coming amidst the push for a mass audience growth and cultural relevance, prioritizes increased viewership over the short-term, high-cost subscription revenue model that was initially implemented to watch Major League Soccer when it jumped off of cable television. So, Nick, is MLS's decision to drop the dedicated season pass requirement a savvy long-term pivot to prioritize mass market reach and cultural relevance, or signaling that the initial exclusive subscription model failed to meet financial goals and expectations?
I mean, I'll tell you what I think about it.
Look at all the failure.
if you're going to tell me that MLS did this because they're trying to savagely pivot, like I'm going to go laugh down the hallway as I walk out of the room. I mean, how about it just didn't work? Apple
Yeah.
TV Plus, MLS, and you and I called it when this deal was made that this was going to be Nightmare Central, taking it off TV. I go back to the years when MLS was showing games on ESPN.
ESPN, your RSNs, they're still on Fox. They will be for the MLS Cup final coming up in 2 to 3 weeks, roughly.
This is not a savvy pivot. This is called waving the white flag. Sorry, it didn't work. We're losing a lot of money. No one wants to pay for it. This is not a savvy pivot. Stop.
No, I mean, I didn't pay for it, Nick, after SDFC came in. Now, they had a very cool offer, though, when you became a season ticket holder for SDFC.
You got Apple
You
TV.
got it for either a reduced price or got it for free. I forget exactly what it was.
It was free.
I think it was for free, I want to say. Even then, I didn't watch. I would listen to games on the radio, on my phone, on the iHeartRadio app, because we have a deal with AM 760 here in San Diego, or be at the game itself at Snapdragon. Or when I went to Carson for the first ever game in LA against the Galaxy in late February. I agree, though. They threw in the towel, Nick, because I think, though, the cost was too high. Not enough people would watch. And that I think that they realized this was a failure. More importantly, Nick, I only recall watching maybe 2 games all year on Apple TV Plus because I was at a tailgate party for a game and we were watching games. If someone would bring their big screen TV to watch games in the parking lot, so we would be watching, all the games on there in the parking lot while we were drinking beer and eating carne asada tacos. Or when I went and watched game 2 of our first round series with Portland, because I didn't have it, one of my friends called me, come on up, let's, we'll have pizza and beer, we'll watch the game. And so that's the only times I've ever watched any MLS content on Apple TV Plus.
I mean, so if you remember when NFL went to Amazon and they was like, oh no, we suck again. And what do you think the bar industry and like the bar and restaurant industry did?
Nick, you just fed me a perfect pass. That was something I brought up during Press Row's first iteration. What happens for all of those fan bars, especially, Nick, again, my hometown has no NFL team. Every bar that was a Charger bar has jumped ship to a new franchise. Chiefs, Dolphins, Patriots, Packers, whatever team not named the Chargers. When you put games behind paywalls, like this case with Prime Video for Amazon, all those businesses take losses because they don't have the package for it. They all have DirecTV or Dish or whatever. Same exact way in a bit, though, here locally. But, Nick, I recall, though, game 2 of our series with Portland that we lost in penalty kicks in Portland. The county had 80 bars that showed the game. 80 different places bought the Apple TV Plus package to show MLS games for SDFC across all of San Diego County.
Well, guess that's not happening anymore.
Don't need to.
Well, you don't need to because now I'm assuming they're just going to show it on Apple. Well, you have to get the single level still.
Yeah,
but that's better than having to pay an extra fee.
I think it was like $150 for the full season.
I mean, which in the scheme of things is not terrible, but like
it was $150, yes, but you got every single game with no blackout rules, not like baseball, for example.
Oh God! But my point that I was making just now was that, well, that actually started way back with DirecTV.
Yes,
when restaurants and bars and if you wanted to go to a Fridays or
Chili's, Fridays, Outback Steakhouse,
Applebee's,
E-Dubs, even for that matter,
and they would have all the TVs up. This goes all the way back to DirecTV when they could not make deals originally because the NFL said, no, we're not going to give away our NFL product. Well, guess what? What do you think happened to the industry after that when they couldn't make a deal? People were not going out. And then they realized that they had to make a separate deal with the bars and the hangout places that people our age would go out to eat on Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night,
Yeah.
and they had to make those deals. And then when the whole Amazon thing came in the picture, woo, that caused a problem.
And,
And
and I say that real quick, and Nick, we'll save our last story from hour 2 if we have time.
yeah,
We'll come back to it. But quickly, I'm a big Chili's connoisseur after I work hockey games at the sports arena because it's literally in our arena parking lot.
right,
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, when I go and work there for either the Gulls or the Seals for indoor lacrosse, for one, I go there and decompress after games are over. I'll get a meal usually. I'll have a couple beers. But in the bar area, TV, and then they have the wall of TVs. And they've got NHL Network on. They've got football. They've got basketball. They've got all their bases covered.
everything.
But that's where I went, though, in a way, was what if the neighborhood Chili's, for example, in Kansas City, Missouri, or in somewhere in the greater Kansas City area doesn't have Peacock, for example, doesn't have Prime Video, and the Chiefs happen to play a game on Netflix or on those platforms, they don't have it. They basically, in a way, Nick, lose their business for that one day. Now, again, they can make it up, though, but still. I think game days, when you're a fan bar like that, and you don't have it at your disposal to put the games on TV, you probably take pretty big losses, I'd say, for just that one day.
Now, I think there's some strategy behind the placement of certain games on certain streaming platforms. So think about Christmas because oh, it sucks. It's on Netflix. Well, I'll give you another theory, which is most people are not out on Christmas.
Right.
So you can get away with putting games on Netflix because if you have Netflix, you're going to turn it on, you're going to watch football. You're not going out to a bar. You're not going out. Most people are not. At least I would say maybe under 5% of people are out on Christmas, if that. And so they can get away with putting it on an exclusive streaming service. Right. But Thursday night footballs, it has to be available. That's why now you're seeing the Amazon games now and showing up now slowly in the bars or in the restaurants and all that stuff because people are out on Thursday night. They want to watch the game.
Yeah.
I don't know. The MLS thing is stupid. Like they've never gotten it correct ever.
Well, they didn't, and that's where I wish, Nick, that all the teams could be allowed to strike a local TV deal to put their games on television. If in
they
fact
don't have local TV deals,
no.
How can that be?
Couldn't tell you.
First of all, the MLS is not the NFL, where it's nationally based every week. So what's MLS's excuse not to have local TV deals?
I never really got an answer about that, unless they were just again seeing the dollar signs and whatnot. And
because there's no way to really do NFL on a local scale, really,
unless it's the preseason. That's it.
But I'm just saying generally because there's too many teams and not enough. Localized networks, they would never be able to do it.
Yeah, but I mean, either way, it's about time, and maybe I'll actually be able to get a subscription next season for Major League Soccer on Apple TV.
Especially because you don't need a plus.
I know, thank God. Nick, let's get to hour 2 here again. We'll come back to that other hour 1 story if time allows us here today. Nick, we talked about this too in the dungeon last night, and this again has been kind of a hot talking point within the last, I'd say, day or two. But both Warriors head coach Steve Kerr and Miami Heat head coach Erik Spoelstra have become the latest prominent voices calling for the NBA to reduce or shorten the 82-game NBA season. The demand made by both Kerr and Spoelstra comes as star players, defined by All-Star and NBA and All-NBA team criteria, have already missed over 200 games this season because of injuries or illness. Steve Kerr mainly cited the breakneck pace and spacing of the modern game as a primary reason for soft tissue injuries, while Spoelstra has supported the idea of fewer games for better health for the players and better availability. So, Nick, given that the league's star availability crisis has reached a point where 2 of the NBA's most respected coaches are now openly demanding a shorter season, is the league's 82-game schedule now officially prioritized over health and marketability of its own product? Or, Nick, as we've been saying, though, why are you only playing 8-man rotations?
You know what? We're going to sound the alarms because I'm about to take a blowtorch to this story. This is stupid. I'm just going to come out and say that now. These are professional athletes. Professional athletes. And we're complaining about the amount of games being played? Are you kidding me right now?
No.
These guys make millions. Millions. Oh, sorry. We got to go from 82 to 70. And we should hear from some of these guys because Steve Kerr trying to explain it and then Eric Spoelstra trying to explain it almost made my head spin off like The Exorcist. So
let's hear from Steve Kerr first, then, if that's the case.
So let's grab Steve Kerr here. This is a little more lengthier than Spoelstra,
but on like the increase in soft tissue injuries in the league, I think there's several more today across the league.
I didn't hear what happened today.
I mean, Wimby's out, Castle's out, Giannis is out.
Oh, wow.
How concerned are you, about what you've talked about with this pace increase and, calves and hamstrings and all that?
I'm very concerned. It's dramatic. The pace difference is dramatic. This team tonight has really upped their pace compared to last year. I think across the league, everybody understands now that it's just easier to score if you can beat the opponent down the floor, get out in transition.
yeah.
I just want to quickly interject real quick. By the way, I love the shirt that Steve Kerr's wearing, for one thing.
Yes.
Secondly, though, Nick, what Kerr's talking about, though, is when he's talking about the pace, not pace of play, Nick, he's talking about the pace that the teams are playing at when it comes to possessions per game now, which I think we read in the ESPN story or FOS story last night. Just to clarify what he's talking about for those watching.
So we're literally complaining about the amount of possessions in a game. Is that literally what we're complaining about right now?
Sure seems like it.
Are you kidding me?
That would be like an NFL coach complaining about time of possession.
Well, that's any sport. They can, time of possession. You didn't have the ball long enough. Yeah, break.
But when everybody's doing that, the games are much higher paced, faster paced, and then everyone has to cover out to 25 feet because.
Okay, timeout. He's basically he's calling his players out saying that they can't run up and down the court enough. Is basically what he's saying.
Sure seems like it.
Come on, Steve. You coach professional athletes. If they're not going to do the job to stay in shape, then they shouldn't be on the team. We don't need any more James Harden in this league. We're fat. The dude purposely made himself fat so he could be traded. Okay?
Right.
Everybody can shoot threes, so we have all the data. Players are running faster and further than ever before, and so we're trying to do the best we can to protect them, but basically have a game every other night, and it's not an easy thing to do.
And you said you've talked to your medical staff, and they're kind of the belief that that's what's led.
They believe that the wear and tear, the speed, the pace, the mileage, it's all factoring into these injuries.
Really? The wear and tear, the factor of the games is the reason that these guys are breaking it. No, it's not. How about play your full roster and not 8 or 9 man rotations? Go ask Tom Thibodeau how that worked out.
I was going to say Thibodeau comes to mind. The whole load management really began with Kawhi and the Spurs, even with Ginobili, Parker, and Tim Duncan at one point in the mid-2010s.
They got fined, if you remember, against Miami, the TNT game.
Yeah.
They got fined $250,000 because they sat out Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker, which, by the way, I was pissed when that happened because that's a national game. And that's the one time I take the NBA side because, one, it's a national game. Two, at the time against Miami, that was a big game. And three, what about the fans? So don't give me this malarkey about wear and tear and breakdown. It's ridiculous.
To that point and to the point you made several times, is there ever a moment when you're in these meetings with the league where everybody's there where you're like, hey, the best thing to do would be to cut the season down a little bit? Like this does the topic of conversation even come up?
I bring it up. I bring it up a lot, and I just think it's if we're actually focused on the product, it'd be great. We literally have not had a single practice on this road trip. No.
Oh, timeout. That's your answer? Not to have a practice?
Interesting.
That we hear that in baseball all the time. Like when you travel, what is it? Like when they go from East Coast to West Coast or West Coast to East Coast sometimes, they won't have a batting practice or whatever the next day.
Probably more with football where you probably don't have a walkthrough maybe, or you don't have a practice when you travel.
No, but sometimes baseball, they'll do that too. Like after a long travel day, sometimes they won't hold batting practice.
Usually they'll do that for like getaway day on a Wednesday or Thursday afternoon or on Sundays.
So what do they think? They're baseball now? Like they're just not going to hold practice, or they're not going to like, come on.
Been gone a week and or longer, 8 days, not one practice. Because
8? Wait, whoa. 8 days without a practice?
That is kind of a lot. Damn. If it's actually a thing.
You can't tell me that, first of all, these guys are supposed to be the best of the best in physical conditioning. And they didn't practice for 8 days?
Game. And so not only is there no recovery time, there's no practice time. And what was different, back in the day, you did have like 4 and 5 nights, which was not great. But then you'd have 4 days before your next game. And so you'd take a day off and you'd actually have a couple good practices and scrimmage. And so there's no easy answer here. The league has done a great job of trying to protect players by not overloading the schedule with 4 and 5 nights. But now it's basically we're playing every other night, and the flip side of that is, we're not getting any practice time, and the wear and tear is there anyway because it's the accumulation of all that, all those games and the speed and the pace and mileage and everything else.
Do you feel like you have support in the room from anybody?
The tricky part is, everyone, all the constituents would have to agree to take less revenue. And
Timeout. All the constituents would have to agree to less revenue for this to happen.
Never going to happen.
Good luck, Steve, trying to get that one passed, saying you're going to drop 12 games of potential revenue. Never going to happen.
2025 in America, good luck in any industry to agree. Imagine, some big company saying, you know what, we're not as concerned about our stock price. We're actually concerned with employing people and giving people a stable job and making our product better. And come on, Nick, that's not happening. We know that.
How many good practices do you think you've had since the start of the regular season? Any?
I'd have to look back, but maybe 3 or 4. I rattled off the schedule to you the other night. I think tomorrow night will be our 17th game in 29 days. So 13 cities. So between practice time and travel, there's rest time and travel. There's very little opening for a practice, but we'll get them next week. I think we have like 3 days next week where we're going to get some work in.
I'm not going to say he's fully wrong here, but some of this is BS.
Before we move on, Nick, how about we hear from Eric Spoelstra, head coach of the Miami Heat, which I believe he kind of, in a way, I would say piggybacked off what Steve Kerr said, probably in a way backed him indirectly when it came to his thoughts. Again, this is all in wake, again, of about 200 star NBA players, notably Victor Wembanyama, Giannis Antetokounmpo, all missing time now for at least the next week with injuries. But now here is Eric Spoelstra.
It can't be done the way it's structured right now. So Steve and I and the staff, when we were together the last 2 summers, we had talked about it, but it's not changing. The only way it could have changed.
Can I interject real quick?
Possibly.
Yeah.
I believe that Eric's referencing when he says him and Steve and the staffs working together. USA basketball, yes.
Yeah.
With the new TV deal that everybody could agree on, 10 less games or something like that. But since that didn't happen, I also agree with what Steve said. People aren't going to give money back, to have less games. So there really isn't a solution to get rid of the back-to-backs, at this time.
So, Nick, I did some digging during Steve and Eric's commentary. The NBA has been playing an 82-game season since 1967-1968. The least number of games they played minus strike-shortened seasons, Nick, or the range of games not involving a strike or what have you. The least amount of games they played, Nick, was 68 games.
Interesting.
So I don't know if you can even really find a common number in there to satisfy everybody. Because I think, Nick, what you have to do, I think you and I both remember the days of when you wouldn't play the entire Eastern Conference, or you wouldn't play, so many, like that. We're now with both the NBA and NHL, you play everybody in the league at least 2 games home and away. West to east, east to west, vice versa. I think that if you reduce the season schedule, that's a disservice to the fan base. As you and I both have said, Nick, if you're living, for example, like you do in New York, and you've got the Nets, your hometown team, and then you got the Knicks. If the Knicks go and play the Nets, for example, you would want to see Jalen Brunson and Kat suit up and not be sitting on the sidelines unless they're actually hurt. Now, before we move on here, Nick, we also did, what do we got?
Wow. Okay. I got to break the flow for a story I just saw. Okay. According to Sham Sharania, the Lakers are reorganizing their basketball operations department and terminating executives Joey and Jesse Buss from their respective front office positions effective immediately.
Does that lead into a story for hour 3?
Well, let me read you the statements and we'll figure out if we take this further. But statement from Joey and Jesse Buss: we are extremely honored to have been a part of the organization for the past 20 seasons. Thank you to Laker Nation for embracing our family in every step of the way. We wish things could be different with the way our time ended with the team. At times like this, we wish we could ask our dad what he would think about it all. Joey and Jesse Buss have had key Lakers scouting roles for the last decade, helping finding all different players. The brothers will maintain their minority ownership shares with the Lakers currently.
So Jeannie is again throwing family out of the franchise.
This is not the first time she's done this either.
No, she threw out Jim, I think, when he was working as the de facto general manager after Dr. Jerry Buss passed away, I want to say.
What is her problem?
I don't know, Nick. I really don't. And this has been it's been puzzling. Great tease too for episode, I think 9, I want to say, of Small Market Edition. How families run franchises into the ground and how families like this get involved in fights and spats like this where people, brothers and sisters and bloodlines, lose their jobs within organizations.
First of all, they're family. How are they terminating each other?
Or how is Jeannie being able to get away with firing the whole family? Now, is that because of the fact that the Walter ownership group of the Dodgers is going to be taking over the franchise within the next couple of years?
But she's leaving too. In the next 4 or 5 years.
She still has the minority stake she still has the primary slice of the pie, though, when it comes to the governor's slice of the franchise.
But how can you terminate someone with ownership? They have ownership shares, Sham said.
Well, they do, but it sounds like they're losing their basketball operation jobs, not the ownership stake.
Right, but how can she do that if they technically have ownership share?
I think because she's the Laker governor, that she gets final say on stuff like that?
You do know that's a bad look, firing family.
Not the first time, as we said.
And by the way, you talked about how you're teasing towards an episode of family ownership. They've had public spats for over a decade.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So this, I mean, I'm a little shocked that it's happening.
And that was, and the spats only began, Nick, after Dr. Bus passed and when the Lakers went into purgatory after Kobe's retirement in 2016. Before that, even.
But for this to happen at the beginning of a season, with all the LeBron rumors floating around, with Luka signing, with all the other issues, the gambling associates investigation going on with the Lakers, this is the time you choose to do this?
In a way, I've felt this way for a while, Nick, that this has kind of been, despite them still being a very good team on the floor, Nick, it just feels like that this is a collective letdown and almost like a slow death of one of the greatest franchises in the NBA. Now, again, I might be off base, though, Nick, but when you've had so many public spats, though, as we have seen, though, since Dr. Bus passed, and the Lakers being in purgatory, the Lonzo Ball drafting and his dad getting involved, and how the Lakers of all the franchise, Nick, have to put out a memo to the press, stop interviewing LeVar Ball. He does not work for the organization, does not represent the organization, stop giving him airtime in a way, to them eventually building towards what they won, bubble or not, a title in 2020. They get, they make the trade of Luka. But now, though, this comes out, though, in wake of Johnny Bus losing his job at one point and other family members losing their jobs at one point. Again, Nick, it might be all goody two-shoes, though, when family owns teams, though. But as you'll hear, though, later on down the road in Smart Market Edition, when a team loses their owner, like the Padres, with Peter Seidler, Dr. Bus, Pat Bolin, for example, Alex Spanos, for example, and then the family runs operations, Nick, it becomes very, very ugly.
I mean, I guess technically you'd say the Mets are a little bit family run between Steve and his wife. A little
True.
bit. The Steinbrenners. Oh, don't even get me started. They've had public feuds left and right forever. But this is the beginning of a season.
Yeah.
You're putting all this immense pressure on the organization from the outside, and now you're going to do this? I mean,
we'll keep an eye on that story. To quickly wrap up the last segment, though, about the NBA reducing their season, I don't know, Nick, what can be done. I mean, to what Steve and Eric both said, though, no one's going to give back revenue, though, if they cut the season down by 2 games or 10 games, or they go back to 68 games. Because in a way, if you go back, you go that far down with games, Nick, that went to my long point, though, again. If you are a Cavaliers fan living in Cleveland, you save your money when the Lakers come to town because of LeBron, because you forgave him for what happened when he left. He came back and fulfilled the promise of winning a title in 2016. But you save your money, you go to the game, and all that, and then you find out he's not going to play.
That's the problem today.
In a way, you would be shortchanging people that live in these markets where they would be basically hoping, Nick, God, I hope the Lakers come to town. Where we're at right now, Nick, you're guaranteed to get every team to come through your arena one time every season. That's why, Nick, that Major League Soccer is, in a way, a little bit as an outlier, because they follow the NFL model. You play your conference twice, home and away, for X amount of games. But then you're hoping and praying, as a lot of people in San Diego are for next season, you're hoping San Diego hosts Inter Miami so you can watch Lionel Messi play maybe one last hoorah before he retires.
No, it makes total sense. Ugh, I don't know anymore.
Yeah, I don't know anymore either.
Can we?
All right, Nick, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, can we quickly do the WNBA story? I want to make sure we get to it.
Yeah, let's get to that real quick, Nick. Back from hour 1 here. Maybe some progress. I'm not going to fully say yes or no at this rate. But, Nick, ESPN, though, confirmed on Tuesday and into Wednesday that they confirmed details of the league's latest CBA proposal to the WNBA PA. The proposal includes revenue sharing for the players, unknown still, and a massive jump in player earnings, featuring a max salary of more than $1.1 million available to more than one player per team, a massive step up from current compensation, and addresses the players' central demand for a share of the league's booming revenue and team valuations, including all the new expansion teams coming in over the next 5 years. So, Nick, with the league now offering revenue and a max salary exceeding $1.1 million for multiple players per team, has the league finally proposed a deal that adequately compensates the players for the league's massive cultural and financial growth? No.
No, and I said this to you the other night that
Only 1 or 2 players? Come on, that's bogus.
that's
Give me a break.
collusion, isn't it? A little bit, because you're going to tell me that, oh, you can only offer the highest salary to 1 or 2 players on your roster. And by the way, if you're putting a max on the salary, what happens each year when a better player comes along? What do you tell your agents? Like, what are you supposed to do here? Like,
Don't mind me reacting, Nick. Apparently, MLS already dropped next season's schedule for 2026.
they did?
San Diego is at Miami in September.
Okay. But having a max on the max salary makes no sense. And if I'm a WNBA player, which most of them have already gone to Project B, what?
This is actually very cool, Nick. This was just reported by Yahoo Sports within the hour. They'll be dropping a 30 for 30, December 10th, about Stuart Scott's life and his career.
I did see like a bunch of videos of him like being teased around. I was wondering if that's what that was about.
Per ESPN, it's been confirmed that they'll be releasing Booyah, a portrait of Stuart Scott, beginning on December 10th. The film will offer an intimate look at the life and legacy of the iconic Sports Center anchor, from his roots in local television in North Carolina to his emergence as one of the network's most influential voices before his tragic passing from cancer.
That's going to be good. That's going to be appointment watching. The WNBA is in trouble. In trouble. We've been saying this for a while. Project B is picking up all these WNBA stars. How many have we had already essentially say yes?
So Project B?
Yeah. Agumake,
Gracious.
Agumake, I think, was one.
Agumake, I think we heard rumors last night of Jewel Lloyd of the Vegas Aces being involved.
Yeah, let's see.
Alyssa Thomas.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find it. Oh, Jonquel Jones.
Yes, Jonquel Jones.
Let's see if I could find it. Like you said, Aces, Jewel Lloyd, Agumake. Were those the 3 names that we've essentially heard so far?
Yes.
And they all got ownership, and apparently the salaries are like over $1 million, close to $2 million. So, what is incentivizing players to stay in the W right now?
Between Project B, Nick, and Unrivaled, and even Athletes Unlimited, holy Toledo, man. I mean, the WNBA, as if we didn't think 7 months ago when I came here that they were already in trouble, Nick, they're in way worse shape now, it seems like, than they were a couple days ago.
And that's the problem. Like, what incentive left do you have for the W? And playing in the W or expecting that you're going to get paid properly?
By the way, I don't mean to keep going off the rails here. Just looking over the MLS season schedule, they're going to be playing, Nick, from February till early November next season, due to the fact there's a break for the next year's World Cup in the USA, Canada, and Mexico.
Well, is that the change schedule or no?
Change schedule won't come till 2027.
That's going to be weird.
And by the way, me and Liam play each other finally in October in Harrison, New Jersey. San Diego versus the Red Bulls.
Wow. A little cross-country action going on there.
But I think, Nick, we're right, though. I mean, and we're 10 days away now, Nick, from the new deadline. If they really delay it again for 30 more days, I might legitimately, break something, because we're not getting anywhere, Nick. We're getting the same old shit, basically. Not save our souls, same old shit from the WNBA, where more players, Nick, are still in a way banging the league. As we heard, I think Sophie Cunningham did so when her and Lexi Hull were catting for Caitlin Clark at that LPGA event that was going on a couple weeks ago. Players now saying, hey, I'm going to go to Project B, for example. I mean, Nick, I'm getting more and more uneasy about how this league's going to be operating if it even makes it alive after the deadline passes in 10 days. They're in a massive world of hurt.
I don't know how you. There's going to be a lockout. I think there's going to be a lockout. Just to go over some of what they said. So the league's proposed CBA would see players earn a maximum salary of over 1.1 million, a minimum above 220,000, and an average exceeding 460,000. It's not enough.
No.
It's not enough. I mean, look at the NBA compared to the W. I mean, those players are being paid. And then I see this was from last month, but Adam Silver said WNBA players shouldn't ask for revenue share because the W revenue is much lower than the NBA's.
That's so asinine.
So you're telling me that just because it's lower than the NBA, that they shouldn't get a piece of the revenue, considering that
is so terrible. That.
So that's ridiculous, number one. And the players are the ones making you the money, not vice versa. Like, if you don't have the big names of the W, how are you getting the deals with Versant to have a big national package on
50 games on USA starting next season?
Or the deals with Amazon, or the deals with NBC, or ESPN, ABC, Disney? Like, if you don't have the big players like Caitlin Clark, like, then you're not getting those deals.
No.
The W, unfortunately, was a laughing stock for a long period of time.
Until within the last, 2 years?
When they just started pulling in all these big names, and then you have Paige Beckers coming along, who's become the big personality at the Liberty with all their players, with Stewie and Sabrina and all them, even though they kind of flamed out at the end of this past season. But you have the Aces, who've now, won 3 out of the last 4? I mean, you have plenty of brand, but it's because of the players, not because your dumbass is up in the WNBA front office.
All right, Nick, we'll get back to hour 2 here. We've been keeping an eye on this story pretty closely, Nick. The Big Ten's proposed deal to sell a minority in equity stake in the conference to the UC investment program for $2.4 billion is at another major roadblock as the powerful UC Investments pension fund has firmly indicated it will not sign a deal unless the conference guarantees the participation of both Michigan and USC, putting direct pressure on the two schools whose financial buy-in is deemed critical for the deal's viability and underscores the growing influence of non-traditional financial entities on conference structure, sparking conversations that Michigan might leave to become independent and leave the Big Ten Conference. So, Nick, when a external financial equity or entity like UC Investments dictates which schools must be included in a private equity deal, does it signal that the economic tail now definitely wags the academic dog in the modern era of college athletics?
Well, I get from the UC Investments pension fund standpoint that if they're going to make a deal with one of the conferences, everyone's got to be in. You can't have 17 teams and then Michigan on the side. That looks bad. The way this is, that the perception of that would look. Now, I think Michigan is kind of over-exaggerating, overthinking this. Oh, we're going to go independent if this deal goes through.
Sure.
Ask Notre Dame. Well, I was about to say ask Notre Dame, but Notre Dame's actually halfway decent as an independent entity.
Yes.
But they have a deal with NBC. They have a deal with different platforms to carry their games. They're a bigger brand.
And they at least have a working deal with the ACC for everything that's non-football.
To be honest, I don't think any team should be independent if you want the real truth of the matter.
The military academies aren't independent. They're with conferences.
I don't think it's right. I don't think it's right that Notre Dame is an independent entity, and now you're talking about Michigan trying to jump track out of the Big Ten to go independent because they don't like the pension deal. Give me a break. First of all, private equity, or not private equity. What was the term we were using?
Investment.
Private investment, or So I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest, but I understand where the pension fund is coming from. We're not going to make a deal with 17 teams and not have the 18th one be in on what we're doing.
Yeah.
So they got to figure that out. This has nothing to do with financial entities or if it indicates which schools must be included. It's kind of authenticity. It's kind of it's a one size fits all deal. Either everybody's in or we're not doing it. It's a lot of money too. 2.4 billion. Like 2.4 billion just doesn't fall out of the sky.
Right.
It's not like we're shaking money trees to get this money.
This story, I think, Nick, is not going to go away either, because I think we're going to see more private investment or equity involved in college athletics, mainly on the football side, I'd say, though. Could you imagine, though, Nick, the Michigan Wolverines not being tied to the Big Ten Conference, though, if this deal went through or fell through?
The thing is, they probably could make a lot of money, technically, if they were independent, because they are a bigger brand. But you want to be in a conference. You want to be part of a movement, so you get those TV deals. You get that revenue that comes with being part of a conference. Independent is a lot of work, being an independent team. Notre Dame has to, well, they can control their own schedule, which I don't like the fact that they can control their own schedule either. I think that's why I'm saying everyone should be in a major conference so that the schedules are all done equally. Now, I've been hearing this from Nick D and Izan and Will doing Forever Power 5 and all this stuff, and I don't agree with it at all. Enough with this whole situation of losses and what losses count. This is a good loss.
Yeah, there's no. I mean, as a former athlete here, a longtime baseball player, hockey player, you don't take losses like badges of honor. Badges of honor. It's a loss. You lost the game.
And Nick and I have had this argument for a while. How they might have 2 losses, but they're considered tough losses. So their 8-2 is better than a 9-0, or a 8-2 is better than a or 8-3 is better than a 9-2, or a 10-1.
10's greater than 9. 9's greater than 8.
Yeah, and that's the problem I have with college football. And Nick will say to me, well, it's not, all the conferences are not equal, so you have to do it this way. So you have to judge which losses that. I said, Nick, we don't go to middle school. We don't go to high school where we're taught to play to win. And now we're going to go to college football and say, oh, well, you gave it your best shot, but you lost to the number 2 ranked team in the poll, so that makes you better because you lost to a better team.
Yeah, here's your cookie. Congratulations.
What other sport do we do this in?
Golf.
We do?
The lower the score.
No, forget that. I'm saying that what other place do we say, oh, the losses count more than sometimes the wins do?
Nowhere.
College football's the only one. And the proposal I've made on ETB Sports the last 4 weeks is that the full year is all conferences schedule. You play your own conference until the CFP.
That would be interesting, actually.
Because then there's no bullshit of saying this loss, because you lost to the number 1 ranked school, should count. There were undefeated teams that were below the top 10. And the argument I'm getting is, well, they didn't play high-level opponents, so that's why they went 10-0. I'm sorry, 10-0 doesn't fall out of the sky.
No.
You still have to win those said games. And
look at Notre Dame losing to Northern Illinois last season.
Now, I know the AP poll doesn't mean as much now, but I'm just going to use it for argument's sake because Zan and I go through it. So these were the ranks as of 4 days ago. Let me make sure I just have this right. So Notre Dame, that has 2 losses, is number 9. You have BYU, which is 9-1, which is 2 below them. Notre Dame's had 2 losses. Georgia Tech, 9-1, 15th. Okay. Texas, 17, 7-3. They're on the brink of being eliminated from the CFP.
They are.
With 3 losses. But if you look at James Madison, which is 21, is 9-1. Okay. How is a 9-1 team? And don't give me this malarkey that they played teams that were not high ranked. You play the schedule that's given to you. Unless you're Notre Dame and you make your own schedule because you're independent.
Yeah.
And stop with these pay for play games. I don't want to see them anymore. Oh, I'm gonna pay Dominion to get their asses beat up.
Well, Old Dominion actually beat somebody, as did Tarleton State beating Army this year.
I'm just saying it's ridiculous.
Nick, staying in college football, though, but the role of local or statewide politicians in coaching decisions is growing. This is most recently seen at the highest levels with former LSU Governor John Bel Edwards interfering in the Brian Kelly search to public figures in North Carolina, pressuring UNC officials on their coaching hires, mainly Bill Belichick. The ongoing trend, though, suggests that the financial and cultural importance of top college football programs has become so immense that state officials now feel compelled to weigh in on admin and personal decisions, blurring the line between state governance and university athletics. Nick, as the financial and cultural stakes of college football grow, does the increasing involvement of state politicians in coaching decisions fundamentally undermine the independent authority of university administrations and, for that matter, school athletic directors?
I'll give you one thought of what I think about politicians being involved. Welcome to the circus. The circus that involves politicians being involved in picking coaches for a college school, for colleges that need new head coaches. Like, are you kidding me? You can't make this up. I mean, when politicians are getting involved, and they're saying, well, we think we should have some say in picking the coaches. And then the whole LSU situation happens with Brian Kelly. And you hear the governor coming on and say, well, the school might not want to pay the buyout, so the taxpayers might have to. It's ridiculous.
It makes no sense.
Yes, I played clown circus music because that's
I heard it. It was great.
What I think of this whole situation. Like, can the politicians butt out? Please? Please and thank you?
I mean, it's not that hard to stay in your lane where you should be focusing on statewide issues, not about the football program at LSU, for example, or at UNC. Now, obviously, Nick, we talked about UNC, though, having the Board of Regents, in a way, having the closed-door meetings. We heard about state law that's in place that you need to make meetings involving the school, public knowledge when it comes to interviewing candidates and whatnot. But at the same time, though, Nick, and I know that Jeff Landry made his media rounds on ESPN with Pat McAfee, for example, and other outlets when the Brian Kelly news came out, though. But, Nick, like I said, though, in a roundabout way the last 2 weeks, college football is life and death, though, at universities in the Deep South, like LSU, Alabama, Florida, Louisiana, you name it, where I'm not surprised, actually, that more politicians have gotten involved, though, when it comes to the coaching search, though. However, this is a stay-in-your-lane moment. You know, I don't want interference from anyone's governor when it comes to why we're hiring this person. You have no jurisdiction. You can claim to be a fan of the program, but you're not directly involved working for a university or working in the athletic department. Your job is governing the state not telling schools who they can and can't hire.
It's not your money, for crying out loud. It's the school's money. Now, are they going to make bullshit claims that like we give money to the schools because it's a state-run school and all this nonsense? But the governor has no control. Go run your freaking state. Go worry about your politics. Don't worry about the damn school and who their next football coach is going to be. Why? Because the school got into a public spat with Brian Kelly because they tried to claim that we didn't fire him. Now we're firing him for cause, which was probably the dumbest bullshit of all time.
Yep.
He walked away because he didn't like the way that you guys are running your freaking athletic department. So there was
part of the BS.
So, but then they say, "Oh, we never fired him, so now we're firing for cause, so we don't want to pay him." LSU is a clown show, like waiting to happen. And as Christie says, I've said this many times: sports and politics are like oil and water; they don't mix. They don't mix. And this is a bad situation. Of now you have the freaking governor involved, dude. Like go do. You're probably not even doing your job anyway if you're worrying about who the next head coach of the LSU is going to be.
By the way, Nick, the Athletics a little bit late, though, but we talked about this, I think, last night or early this morning. But breaking news per The Athletic, a former Olympic snowboarder on the FBI's most wanted list has been charged with ordering the murder of a witness. We talked about this a little bit, though, beforehand for today's program. We'll save it for later. If we get around to it, we get around to it.
That was the Canadian skier, right?
Yes.
That's a bad situation.
Yeah. And again, I don't know about this, Nick, but like I said, though, again, it's only being amplified, this particular story involving like the governor getting involved, Nick, because again, where is this happening? Louisiana. What conference are they in? The SEC. It's football, football, football. You know, does it go God country football or football family God country down in that conference?
And by the way, and usually I don't bag on Pat McAfee very often, but he's the moron that gave the governor a microphone to be on the damn show.
He gave him his 15 minutes of fame right there.
Pat, I love you. You do great content. Like I like the fact that you're outside the box and rah, screw you, ESPN, for screwing over the fans and
taking your shirt off on game day.
Yeah, like I appreciate the energy and the WWE energy and effort you bring to game day. You give a lot of money away to kids who, if they make the field goals on college game day. But dude, you allow the governor on your show knowing he's going to make a spectacle out of you? It's one of the biggest microphones in professional sports going on Pat McAfee's show. So, I mean, the same disgrace that allowed a certain president to be on the show too. So I don't know. I think that was a mistake, which gave him more viral clipping power when he started to, oh, well, taxpayers this. First of all, taxpayers don't pay for a contract.
No.
Is the governor...
That is the university's doing all the way through.
Is the governor that stupid in Louisiana?
Sure seems like it.
The taxpayers don't pay for school contracts. That's what a school budget and an athletics budget is for. That's what the NIL is for. That's what the boosters are for. The boosters pay the contract. It can't be this dumb, can it?
No, you would think, right?
Before we move to the next story, I just want to get this out of the way so we make sure we get through everything. Sports fans, watching sports alone is a thing of the past. Join the movement that's changing how you consume live games. Playback TV gives you a front row seat to watch games with us and other diehard fans. React live and connect. Make your next game day a big day. Sign up free at playback.tv and never watch sports alone again. I'm assuming that's a little teaser to what we're trying to pull off during the NBA.
We're trying. We
So
had a fun time doing it last time.
We did have a good time on Playback's big day. We had most of our people in on those streams. The plan is to do them once a month. We got to get working because when was that last one? Was that this month or last
2 weeks ago?
So we got to work on one for December. But the plan is we're going to do our own for at least once a month, getting everybody together. Playback.tv/ETB network to join our community and help us grow.
Nick, over to the NFL, Commissioner Roger Goodell, your boy, confirmed that after playing a record number of games, 7 games overseas in the UK, Germany, and Brazil, the league is already planning for an expansion of their global slate come next season. The success of the games, both culturally and financially, confirms the league's strategy to become a truly global product. Commissioner Goodell's push means more teams will give up home games, which will continue to draw criticism from domestic season ticket holders and local economies, including, Nick, already some teasers of games in Australia and the Saints heading to Paris, France next season. Nick, given the obvious financial success of international games, though, should the NFL mandate that every team give up 1 game at home per season to be played overseas to satisfy the league's strategic goal of becoming a truly global sport?
All right. This one is only a one way or the other situation. Either everybody has to give up a home game or nobody gives up a home game. You can't go, well, we're going to play 9 games internationally next season, which means 9 season ticket holders are screwed. Well, not 9, like 9 games of season ticket holders are screwed. So this is getting ridiculous. It's too many international games. There's too much going on. And now it's leading to a situation of money grubbing. What?
So apparently Dave McMenamin and Yahoo Sports have a bit more of a angle on the Joey and Jesse Buss termination.
Yeah.
I don't know if you brought this up, Nick, but per the reports from McMenamin, a high majority of the Lakers scouting department has also been let go.
What?
In addition to both the termination of Joey and Jesse Buss, much of the Lakers scouting staff has also been let go per Dave McMenamin's reporting on ESPN.
She has too much power. Jeannie Buss has too much power.
Let me see what I can find her real quick. Give me 1 second.
That's horrible. Jeannie is controlling everything now, including destroying her own family and people who worked in the organization.
So, per the reporting done here by ESPN, now this has not been updated to reflect Dave McMenamin's reporting within the last 15 minutes, though, but the Lakers are reorganizing their basketball operations department and have fired executives Joey and Jesse Buss from their respective front office positions, effective right away. The brothers told ESPN Shams Charania on Thursday. Joey and Jesse have been key Laker have had key Lakers scouting roles for the past decade, helping the franchise find players like Austin Reeves, Kyle Kuzma, Jordan Clarkson, Larry Nance Jr., and Max Christie. Joey's role was alternate governor and vice president of research and development, while Jesse was the Lakers' assistant general manager. Older sister Jeannie will still continue to serve as the Lakers' primary team governor for the foreseeable future. Joey and Jesse maintain their ownership stakes of the Lakers. They announced in September that they are launching Buss Sports Capital, an investment firm aiming at identifying acquisitions and partnerships across the global sports landscapes. Both of them have had long careers, though, including their minor league franchise with the South Bay Lakers. Their father, of course, bought the team from Jack Kent Cooke in '79 for $67.5 million, which included the Forum, the LA Kings, and Lakers. And again, per Dave McMenamin's reporting, though, within the last couple of minutes as well, that as well, a high majority of the Lakers scouting department has also been shown the door within the last 15 minutes.
What the fuck is Jeannie Buss doing there? Like, has the power gone to her head?
I think you're right. I think it's gone to her head. And again, it feels like in a way she's forcing out family because of Mark Walter coming in to take over the control of the franchise in the next couple of years, which makes no sense.
But she's only staying on for what, 4 or 5 years, technically?
I think she said at least the next 5 before she gives up control of the team all the way through and through.
So you destroy your own family in the process?
Ooh, baby.
I don't want to be at that Thanksgiving table.
I would not want to be there for Thanksgiving or Christmas, and I would not want to be there for the last 10 plus years with that franchise.
Everyone who says, "Oh, the Lakers are a class organization and they run everything," really?
Yeah.
You destroy your own family? You fire your brothers?
You'll find out more in episode 9 of Small Market Edition in the next couple of months.
But this doesn't make sense that all of a sudden, why didn't you do this before the season?
Yeah, the move right now makes no sense because we're already in the middle of the year. The Lakers are off to a great start considering all the factors they had to jump over with Luka and a bunch of guys. Now LeBron's back into the fray for year 23. But yet, though, you got this stuff happening behind closed doors, though.
Well, that's now public.
Which is now public.
Which, who knows if this was even supposed to be public?
Termination, though, is a pretty
First of all,
serious word, though, to use with this, though.
I think it's the wrong word, too, because technically the brothers are in ownership. So how can they be terminated?
That whole thing had to be reworded.
You can't be terminated if you're an owner.
Yeah.
Unless you get voted out by majority and then you sell. But we're not talking about like a Robert Sarver situation or a Donald Sterling situation.
No, hell no, not even close.
But I'm just saying, like, where they're forced to sell because of whatever situation. We read in the headline from Shams that they're keeping their ownership shares.
They were just terminated from their scouting roles, and per Dave McMenamin, a high number of that department has been also terminated.
So this has to be coming from what's his name's ownership group, the new one now that's coming in.
That's what I'm thinking.
But still,
from the Dodger ownership group who bought the franchise.
But there's been public feuds since Dr. Buss passed away between Jeannie and who was the brother's name that had the original fights?
Jim Buss.
And then Jim got basically thrown out on the like Jazz got thrown out of Will's house on Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah. And that was because the Lakers were so shit during that time after they built that de facto big four of Kobe, Powell, Nash, and Dwight Howard.
This makes no sense at all, and I hope there's a little more information.
We'll keep an eye on it, though, as we go on here. But, Nick, getting back, though, to our thoughts here. Again, we are almost near hour 3 starting. But, though, I think, Nick, that we're right, though, that the NFL can't keep getting away with this stuff. Especially, Nick, when we talked about, too, Charger season seat holders and other season seat holders, Nick, have sued because they're told you're guaranteed all these games. Yet, though, within a month or two of the schedule being public of when you play all the opponents, by the way, your game's in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Good luck.
On opening night.
Week 1 of the year, too. In a divisional rivalry, too.
I didn't love that. Now, we were fortunate enough we were able to watch that game on here, so we were able to watch the game. But
that was because it was a YouTube broadcast, right?
Well, not only that, but they just happened to have got. This was before I think they even had an NFL deal, if you remember correctly. That they just happened to have gotten access to the game. That was like their first foray playback into the NFL,
right?
But as a season ticket holder, say you've been a season ticket holder of a team for what? 15, 20 years, and it's passed along down from family member to family member. And then you're told, oh, well, there's an international game. Screw you. You're out of luck. I want my money back for that seat.
Yeah.
Or those tickets. And if you don't, I'm suing your ass because I didn't ask for the game to be in Brazil or London or Germany or Australia or wherever. That's not my fault as a fan.
No.
That's the fault of the NFL being greedy McGreedster over there and basically saying, oh, we're playing for this.
I don't get it. Nick, we'll get to one more story here. We'll blow off the athletic story about the gambling poll they did because I know that that Nick, though, has taken issue with this recent involvement of New York Giants players, including injured running back Cam Skattebo. This past Monday on WWE's Monday Night Raw from the Garden in New York City, as they were involved in a storyline with top heel wrestlers Dominic Mysterio, JD McDonough, and Finn Balor of the Judgment Day during this past week's episode of Raw at the Garden. Nick believes, though, that the involvement of players involving Skattebo, who, again, has been out with that broken ankle and foot injury, Morgeson is of the belief, though, that this blurs the line between entertainment and legitimate sports news, creating unnecessary distractions and potential injury risks for the players during their season in operation. So, Nick, does the involvement of active players like Cam Skattebo in a high-profile WWE storyline blur the ethical and physical lines between sports and entertainment to a degree that makes it an unacceptable risk for the players in the league for them to be taking?
This is ridiculous, and I'm going to call out some people already in our network who are telling me this is not a big deal. And we have Giants fans who are on our network here. This is ridiculous. And the guy is literally rolling around on one of those one-leg scooters. And he's getting into hand-to-hand combat as part of a WWE storyline? Are you kidding me right now? Really? You're under contract with an NFL team. And don't give me his BS tweet where he's saying, "Oh, well, don't bother me because I'm trying to have a good time while I'm sitting out here for the season." Dude, you're going to get hurt even more. I have the video too, which is going to prove my point more. I'll bring it up from Monday Night Raw. If I can pull it up here. Watch this, because it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. We should care more about the dysfunctional franchise of the Giants. Watch this video and tell me how this is not a big deal. Right now, he pushed him, and then the wrestler pushed him over.
And keeping in mind again that Skattebo was on one of those foot scooters right now because of his injury suffered in the season.
You can't tell me that that's not a big deal. What happens if he gets hurt even further? What happens if he aggravates the injury completely and can never play football again?
True.
I don't want to hear that this is dysfunctional. We should be more worried about the team. Dude, you're under contract. Do you remember what happened to Aaron Boone?
No.
He was playing a pickup basketball game and he injured himself and he was done for the year. And that's how A-Rod ended up in New York.
Jabba Chamberlain injuring his ankle, jumping on a trampoline with his kids during the postseason.
And I think he did damage, if I'm not mistaken, either. That was the end of his season.
Joel Zamaya blowing up his wrist playing too much Guitar Hero.
Well, that one just sounds kind of dumb. But
still.
Why do you think they put clauses in contracts to protect themselves from people doing stupid things? And I hate to bring this player up because it's your Padres, but Tatis with the motorcycle?
Yes.
Now, the only reason I'm bringing that up is that was a legitimate claim because
it was.
I think he got in trouble because
he got in trouble for that and then it led to the PD suspension later as he was about to come back from rehabbing his injuries.
Well, I can separate those two for a second, but the motorcycle thing I think was in the contract details, if I'm not mistaken.
It was in the contract details, and they tried to hide it so poorly it was pathetic.
And then they said, "Sir, you can't do that. That's in your contract."
Yeah, and I think the NBA puts clauses in too that players can't ride motorcycles too for every player across the board in pro basketball.
Well, that makes sense. They make a shitload of money, but. Like, I had some people say, I'm not going to call direct names out, but someone said to me in our chat, he's right. Who cares that he did a scripted WWE segment? He's out for the year anyway. We should be more worried about being the biggest embarrassment in the NFL for the last decade. Oh, so him possibly getting hurt more doesn't matter.
Now, let me kind of in a way interject. Now, again, I don't care about the NFL, as I usually say. However, though, this is not the first instance, though, Nick, that we have seen an athlete of some league, sport in general, cross over into professional wrestling. Look at Mike Tyson. He was a special guest referee at WrestleMania one year when Stone Cold Steve Austin beat Shawn Michaels for the heavyweight title. Dennis Rodman joined the NWO at one point in time and had a full-long storyline in the middle of the NBA Finals.
And wait a minute, the NBA crucified him for it, if I remember correctly.
If memory serves me correct, yes. And he
It
still
was
went
during
out
the
there,
NBA Finals.
and he still went out there and grabbed 30 rebounds in the following games after he would be appearing on WWF television.
But I remember correctly, like the NBA said no, and he did it anyway.
And I think that there was another storyline involving basketball players that happened here in San Diego at WCW's Bash at the Beach in 1997, involving Diamond Dallas Page, and I forget who else it was involved with, though. Sean Merriman was involved in a storyline in San Diego at the last PLE we had here in 2008 during a Singapore cane match. He was front row, in the storyline. Chavo Guerrero inadvertently misses CM Punk. He hits Merriman, and then Merriman returns favor and clocks Chavo and does the lights out dance. That was back in June, though, over the offseason of the NFL season. So this is not the first time, though, Nick, that we have seen athletes from other sports getting involved, though, in some capacity with a predetermined scripted storyline, though. But also, in a way, I get Skattebo's point, though, to a point. I'm injured. I'm rehabbing. I can't be with the team to help make a difference. At the end of the day, though, if I'm a Giants fan, which I'm not, nor am I an NFL fan, watching that footage, though, I'm terrified. Seeing my first, one of my top picks in the draft, or picks in the last draft, though, great year at ASU. Nearly had that team beating Texas if it wasn't for a missed PI call. But that could be the future of my organization right there. Again, do you have to blur the line, though, of a guy living his life, though, but also having to keep in mind, though, too, that he's playing a sport, though, at a high level, getting paid. He's injured. He's out for the year, though. When, though, do you cross the line, though, of living my life to getting involved, though, in the story, getting involved, though, in something like this, though, where, again, he got shoved pretty good back from the barrier. I mean, if he falls over, what does that do to the foot that's already in the boot and already is on that scooter? So again, I don't really know how to feel about this. Again, we've seen this, though, with other athletes who've already made that jump to WWE. Ernie Ladd also became a pro wrestler back after he played for the Chargers, though. But again, Nick, I don't know how to feel about this. I mean, it's one thing to live your life, though, but you also got to use the brain a little bit, though, and be a wee bit smarter, though. Now, again, could this blame, though, go on WWE in a way for letting pro athletes who are big name guys in the marketplace, like New York, for example, is this the risk they run, though, if it's WWE, looking at you, Triple H? You run the risk, though, of putting a high-profile athlete in that market. Now, I don't know what that will be, though, come next Saturday when Survivor Series comes to San Diego, for example, for War Games at Petco Park. Could that be Jackson Merrill or Manny Machado or some big San Diego native that may be ringside for the War Games event next Saturday here at 3:30 Pacific time? I don't know. The risk, though, I think, Nick, would be this. If at any point in time in the future, especially, Nick, let's go down the hypothetical route. Skattebo injures the other foot, or he breaks his nose, he breaks his hand from shoving Dom or JD or Finn, and that leads to collateral damage for the Giants for next season. WWE would have to be, in a way, I would put more of the blame, Nick, if that was to happen. I'm not blaming Cam Skattebo. I'm blaming WWE talent for letting this happen. Reason being, if you're going to get guys involved in storylines, they better be fully healthy in a way. But away from that, though, Nick, put them farther away from the action. Put them 5 rows deep, 10 rows deep. Yeah, you can show them on, as like Celebrity Row, but not, though, Nick, when there's so much on the line, though, for a football team, despite how their record's been for the past years. Again, I don't give a shit about how bad the Giants have been because I don't care about the NFL. That is still, though, an investment, though, for that franchise when one of their players goes to this event, though. Put them farther, far enough away from the talent. Keep them away from all the performers. Put them 5 rows deep, 10 rows deep. Yeah, show them on camera, but don't put them in the middle of the action, though, where things could have gotten a hell of a lot worse for all those players involved, though, because I think Abdul Carter got involved in that same storyline, though. I think someone else got involved, though, in a women's match, though, involving Maxine Dupree, who, by the way, is a former NFL cheerleader who won the Intercontinental title, where Becky Lynch was going after somebody right behind Joe Tessitore and Wade Barrett. So I would put this blame, though, Nick, despite, though, that you want to blame Skattebo. I think he's partially at fault, though. I would also blame WWE, though. You can't be having athletes getting involved, though, especially if one of them is injured. You got to put them farther away from the ring, though, where they can't get involved, though, in stuff like this happening.
Okay, but there's two problems with that theory. Okay, so one is you could blame the Giants, too, for allowing them to go, is number one, knowing that he's injured.
True.
And two, what did you think was going to happen when Skattebo pushed, who was it again?
Dominic Mysterio.
What did you think was going to happen, knowing the way the storyline was going to go? What did you think was going to happen when he pushed him?
Yeah, all hell was going to break loose in some way.
And he literally almost pushed him over.
Yeah, which in a way, for me, like I said, if I'm the Giants, I'm watching that like this, in sheer horror, like this.
Like, and I kept saying in our chat, like, it's bad optics, the way it looks, where, and I hate to compare it to this example because it's not exactly the same thing, but you and I were talking about Jose Fernandez when I think it was All-Star week, when he decided to go out on a boat. And you said it was after he had just pitched, right?
I think he threw here in San Diego during the All-Star game in 2016.
And he goes out on the boat. I think he's on drugs of some sort, I think.
Or he's drunk in general.
And the boat crashes, and we all know the history of what happened after that. What?
And Christy said it right, though, Nick, as well, that we also should remember that Jalen Brunson and Halliburton were involved in a storyline, too, in the ring, legitimately in the ring during, I think, last season, I want to say, before the playoff run began, though. Now, nothing came out of that storyline, though, Nick. And then, but, you know, also, now, again, I don't want to keep defending, or I don't want to feel like, you know, I'm going one way or another, though. Earlier on in the evening, and Christy may have to correct me about who did the spot or the promo. It may have been the New Day with, you know, Kofi and Xavier Woods. But they brought out somebody wearing a Halliburton jersey and doing the choke symbol to entice the crowd at Madison Square Garden in some roundabout way, shape, form, or size. And Christy also does have a nice little plug, though. She also says that she'll have her own thoughts on BTR on Saturday at 2 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock Eastern here during our Saturday slates of programs, though. But like I said, though, Nick, and again, you might push back, though. I think, though, this in a way is a very double-edged sword. Because I get what you're saying, though, about, hey, don't go to the event. If they're a big enough fan, Nick, I think you let them go. But like I said, though, this should be, though, where you can't let them sit in the front row where this sort of thing would happen. Because you know damn well, Nick, the heels are going to entice the crowd in a way by going after the big-name guys who show up because Nick, I saw this all the time when they would come to San Diego for WWE. I remember John Bradshaw Layfield making remarks. I remember John Morrison and Mike Mizanin making remarks about the illegal immigrant population of San Diego, California during a spot in 2008. I remember Jacob Fatou this past January calling our town musty and why the Chargers and Clippers left and moved to Los Angeles, for example. So they do all that stuff, Nick, as you probably know, to rile up the crowd and entice the crowd to get more involved in this, and more involved in the storylines. And to that point, though, Solo Sikoa got booed out of the ring, though, where he dropped the mic and didn't say one word over the PA and just walked out of the ring here when I went to that event back in January. But like I said, though, I don't think, though, sadly, you can, in a way, try to tell guys not to go to events, though, Nick. You got to let them live a bit of a life, though. But like I said, though, if you're going to make them go, or they want to go, you got to tell them, okay, you can go. You're not sitting anywhere near row one of the action. Get your ass away from there and don't get involved in any way or manner.
What did you think was going to happen sitting in the front row?
In a way, what do you think was going to happen?
Because he's hurt, okay? And when these guys are in the moment, even though it's all planned,
yes,
you can't control how hard you push someone sometimes when you're in the moment of doing something. It looked like I'm looking at the video again as we're sitting here. So he pushes him over, and then literally Dom pushes him in the chest.
Dom was and Dom was also a really not great, but he was a decent high school football player here too, locally in town in San Diego.
So what happens if he falls over and that leg gets pinned underhand? Okay. And don't give me this nonsense of, well, it doesn't really matter what happens with.
It doesn't matter for right now, but what about long term?
No, but I'm saying like some people say it doesn't really matter what happens because Shane Bowen, the offensive coordinator, is going to get fired, and
Yeah,
heads
that
are
has
going to
no
roll.
sadly that has no bearing on what that means for the whole team with Skattebo 2026. What if he again does something where he's out for all of next season? We got to think, long big picture here, not just right now, but what about the year, next season and the year after that?
The tweet was outrageous, by the way, too. Like, so he tweeted out, which, by the way, has now been seen 10 million times.
Basically
By the way.
saying, I'm living my life, shut up, unfollow, leave me alone, basically. Like,
Dude, what did you think was going to happen with you sitting in the front row?
in a way, do you forget where you play your home games or where you're playing?
You're at MSG.
You play for a franchise based in New York who plays in New Jersey, and you're going to be underneath the microscope 24/7, 365.
And that's the point I'm trying to make. That when you write, hey, honestly, if you don't like what that I'm having a good time while dealing with a tough time, then just go ahead and unfollow and casually move on. I'm not able to play football and have fun. I've been having my whole life. So I'm doing things outside the box, trying to find stuff to keep me happy. Enjoy the rest of y'all's week and just don't talk about me if you ain't got nothing nice to say. Come on, dude. Really?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm defending him, but I get, though, the frustration in a way where I've been in this position, Nick, where either you're academically ineligible, as I once was, or you're injured and out for the season. You feel like you can't help out the team because you're rehabbing, you're not traveling to away games, you're rehabbing, you're at home watching games, vice versa, whatnot. That I get where he's coming off, though, but he's also coming off, Nick, as being a bit of an arrogant asshole, sadly.
That's more of the point I'm getting at here. Like, so it looked like some of the other Giants players were there, so that must have been part of the heel storyline.
Which went to my point, though, that's why it was like a 3-on-3 shoving match. I think wasn't there like an actor as well that was sitting next to them too. That's like a big name or like influencer. You were saying influencer or whatever.
The comedian Andrew Schultz.
Yeah.
He was the one who pushed. I don't remember who the other guy was next to Dom. He also had the long hair. I can't remember his name. But
I think he pushed JD McDonough because Finn Balor's got a bit of a shorter haircut.
Oh, and like Christy just said, Abdul Carter was there too. Oh, another one who's had some issues lately inside the.
Christy, by the way, I saw the highlight. Who was Becky Lynch barking at during her match with Maxine Dupree before AJ Lee came out and cost him? I'd like to know more about that because I saw that video and that obviously blew up too as well. But continue.
Eric Andre.
Okay, that's who it was.
Man, I haven't heard that name in God knows how long.
Throwback.
But, I just think this whole thing is fucking stupid that you're putting a guy's health at risk, putting him in the front row, knowing he could get hurt, and everyone is trying to tell me it's not a big deal. We're making a mountain out of a molehill. When no, it is a big deal because if he gets hurt, every freaking Giants fan in America is going to say, well, he shouldn't have been there because we knew he was going to get hurt the whole time. I don't want to hear that because when he got pushed over and he could have been hurt, Giants fans would have said, well, it's the typical Mara ownership saying that all the players can do whatever they want. And then you have guys like Abdul Carter who fallen asleep at practices, and he ended up getting not suspended, but benched for like the first or second drive. It's just a horrible look, and you could say it has nothing to do with the team, and It has nothing to do with football. No, it has to do with football. It has to do with how the team is ran from an organizational standpoint. That's what it has to do with. And you know what? Callan's right from part of this situation. He wants to go to a WWE event, fine, but don't stand or sit in the first row where you potentially could get injured. Because everyone's, oh well, WWE is scripted, so they have a control over it. No, injuries still happen in the WWE. Okay, it's not 100% foolproof, as everyone likes to try and say. Cam Skattebo's got to make a better choice. And then I see Cam Skattebo all over social media, and he's walking around with this social media influencer, Neon.
Neon, yeah.
And he say, "Oh, I wouldn't even leave for double my salary," which he's an idiot, by the way, because anyone who was offered more money would leave.
I don't know what to think, Nick. I mean, I'll be intrigued to see what Christie says on Saturday during Between the Ropes as well. We get near Survivor Series War Games from Petco Park in San Diego next Saturday afternoon on the ESPN app. Nick, one last thought before we move on here to rest of hour 3.
So I just saw a tweet come out. This is from Underdog, but it's sourced from, I can't remember her first name, Philippou?
Yeah.
What's her first name? She covers
Alexa Philippou?
I think she covers the WNBA for ESPN. I think.
Yes.
WNBA doesn't see proposed 1.1 million max salary as moving negotiations forward.
So we're not moving the goalpost here, huh?
I see what you did there. But apparently not sounding good so far. Also, other media news which I put in here. Rebecca Lobo has officially re-signed a multi-year extension to stay with ESPN.
Yeah.
That's a great duo, her and Ryan Rucco.
Best.
By the way. But final thoughts, dumb move. Could have gotten hurt. I agree with you. If he wants to sit like up in the second level, fine. Just
he can sit ringside or on the floor. Just don't be row 1 where you know that bad stuff can happen.
I don't plan scenes with him. Like,
yeah. All right, Nick, we'll get to the rest of hour 3 here. Despite the NBA's efforts to curb tanking via the lottery reform and the addition of the SoFi play-in tournament, data through the first 4 weeks of the season shows futility numbers that have not been replicated in the last 20 years. Several teams, including Knicks, Nets, the Wizards, Pacers, and the Pelicans, have posted historically bad records, suggesting that the incentive to build through high draft picks remains stronger than ever than the desire to play for a low-seeded playoff berth, raising more questions about the effectiveness of the anti-tanking measures done by the NBA. So, Nick, given the historically bad starts by multiple teams, including your Nets, does the current NBA anti-tanking structure need further, more radical reforms, such as adding a relegation system to effectively incentivize competitive efforts across the entire association? What say you?
So we started to talk about this because of the bad records going on at the bottom, mostly of the Eastern Conference. But
and you and I said, I think, in the dungeon a couple days ago that of the 5 or 6 teams who have really bad records, one of them is kind of exempt, and that'd be the Pacers.
Yeah, because no Tyrese Halliburton, but at the same time, who's the player? I'm forgetting now.
Miles Turner went to Milwaukee.
Right, Miles Turner went to Milwaukee. They lost another shooter out west, I think, to Portland or somewhere or out there. They're not the same team, but at the same time, you don't have your star player.
Yeah.
So I would say that the Pacers are partially exempt from that list of being a quote-unquote bad team. The rest of the teams, the Nets, the Wizards, the Pelicans, the Kings, those are all bad teams. They're really bad teams. Now, I was hoping the Nets would come around a little bit, but they have not.
Ooh, ouch. Sorry, man.
Yeah, it's rough. Brooklyn Nets are in a rough spot. They got to figure something out. I thought the Kings were playing close games all year.
They just didn't seem to really have a lot of luck, sadly, when it would come to that.
And the Pelicans, which we talked about it, was it
They already blew out the head coach,
was that Willie Green? I think it was
Willie
his name?
Green, and now James Borrego, another USD alum, is now the guy in charge.
That organization is a joke currently. And what's his name is actually healthy this year.
Zion.
See, that's how bad I can't remember because he's not making headlines anymore.
So, Nick, I just pulled up the standings as we enter tonight's games.
Okay.
Let's go bottom 4 in the East.
Okay.
4-11, 2-12, 2-13, 1-13, 12-game losing streak.
I'm gonna say
Charlotte.
Well, give me the
Brooklyn.
teams. Give me the teams and I'll figure it out.
Charlotte.
I think Charlotte has more than one win.
4-11.
Yeah, okay. So I got that one. The Brooklyn has one win.
2-12.
Or two. Okay.
Indiana's
got one win. I know that.
2-13.
Oh, they got two. Okay.
Washington's 1-13, and they've lost
And they have
12 in a row.
I was going to say the Wizards were the 12-game losing streak. Yeah. That team is shit.
Western Conference bottom 4. Records are 4-11, 4-12, 3-12, 2-13.
I'm going to say the Suns are one of those teams. No?
Memphis.
Well, we all know what's going on with Memphis and Ja. That one's obvious.
Dallas.
Well, they had the whole situation with Nico Harrison being fired and that whole situation going on with Clay and with Anthony Davis being hurt.
Sacramento.
That's just bad luck. I actually think they're not a bad team. They just don't win the close games.
New Orleans.
That team is bad. Really bad. Bad.
I don't know, Nick, what can be done here. You know, the NBA's tried to stop teams from tanking by adding the play-in tournament. Though, again, the play-in tournament's a little bit rinky-dink, though, because now you're guaranteeing 10 of the 15 teams make the postseason every year in some weird fashion. Where again, if you're within X amount of games, you get a chance to maybe play for the play-in tournament. I don't know, Nick, what else you can do. I mean, I think the lottery usually works. You know, I think that's a good thing where you don't follow the NFL model where you've got the worst team, worst record gets the number one pick every year, where you have the lottery system in place. I thought for a long time that the NFL should do that to stop teams from going down that rabbit hole. But again, I don't think that there's enough that you can do to stop teams from tanking. You know, and if the data is true, though, Nick, that this is the worst that we've seen teams get off the starts in 20 years, that is kind of in a way saying something.
Yeah, but there's outliers involved that story is not taking into account. Well, not just that. Some teams are just bad. Like they're just bad teams. So maybe it's not tanking. Maybe they're just a shitty organization.
Yeah.
Like the Nets. The Nets just they haven't had a good team since the Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Kyrie Irving year.
And before that, it was the 03 team that went to the finals, or 02 team that went to the finals.
Right. And then they had a few playoff runs with Jason Kidd and Vince Carter and Richard Jefferson, but they were never going to win a title. They just weren't. The Kings have been in shit row for how long now? Like decades.
Yeah. Decades upon decades, sadly.
New Orleans, the Pelicans haven't won shit.
No.
So they're just bad teams. I wouldn't say necessarily it's tanking. They're just bad organizations.
Bad organizations, firing coaches left and right, changing personnel, you name it.
A little too quick on the Willie Green tug, a little bit.
It only lasted 13 games where he got blown out.
I mean, there's so much pressure now on head coaches to look what happened to Steve Nash with the Nets.
I was going to say, he got 7 games and he was out the door.
And I think part of that had to do with Kevin Durant. I think.
It would have been, sadly. Nick, staying in the association again, this became big news too last week. But the NBA, has now further escalated their internal investigation of the ongoing sports gambling scandal, reportedly asking multiple teams, including the LA Lakers, to hand over documentation and electronic property related to certain individuals. Sources indicate that 2 known associates of LeBron James are among those cooperating with the investigation. While James himself has not been accused of wrongdoing, the inclusion of his inner circle in the probe signals the investigation's expansion into the highest echoes of NBA networking. Nick, how does the NBA try to maintain a credible appearance of integrity when its internal gambling probe reaches into the inner circles of its most powerful and marketable superstar player like LeBron James?
You want to know how much integrity is left?
None.
0.
When that scandal broke on that Thursday morning before we took the air, that's where all the integrity of the game went out the door for me for the NBA.
And we already heard, as you referred to it, as LeBron James's name in code while we were talking about the gambling investigation. This is actually like 100,000 times worse now that it's being reported that LeBron associates are involved in cooperating in a gambling probe. That means that there might be some truth to what's going on, to what was being reported in that scandal. Now, this kind of reminds me of the Shohei Ohtani situation with.
I was just going to say the same thing
with Sipe or Shipe, however you say his name.
IP Mizuhara, yeah.
IP Mizuhara, but like it's really, this is a cover up because Shohei's betting on baseball. We might have a Pete Rose situation again. Well, this is worse because this is your biggest name involved in NBA history.
Which, in a way, now we're never going to know the truth, and we can speculate all we want, Nick. But like I've been saying, though, this would feel like the de facto suspension that was, never called when Michael Jordan retired the first time around because he had his own gambling problems. Again, I think I brought up, though, that he had like a $60,000 gambling problem that he had on golf. I want to say when he would go out golfing and he owed somebody like almost $60,000. And in a way, David Stern told him, can you go retire, leave for a year, go play baseball, and then come back like in a year or two? Like a de facto slap on the wrist suspension for, again, what was the greatest thing going for the NBA back in the 90s? The Bulls
Michael
and
Jordan. So, and then that's the whole thing. He comes back as 45 and the story.
Wins 3 more rings.
Wins 3 more rings and then retires with the Wizards, and that's a whole different situation. But this is not good. This actually proves the point that there is a gambling problem. So
it does. And again, now, I think, Nick, you're right, though, that, could we call this, the Ohtani scandal 2.0 of, hey, Mizuhara became the fall guy, hey, is LeBron having fall guys here? I mean, I literally, Nick, saw an ad for him on Sunday when I was going to the G League game in Oceanside of him with Kevin Hart for DraftKings. I'm like, oh, there's your answer right there.
Now, of course, we talked about the technicality of, well, he's a ambassador and he can't do, by NBA rule, can't do anything with, he can't even make the parlays like they do, like all the athletes you see, oh, well, we give you a boost on it. You can't even do that. Not allowed, because that could be insider information if he were to do NBA parlays. But how is that? Shouldn't be allowed. I don't care if he's doing it for other sports either. Like, that matters.
It does matter.
So this is worse, because this is now proving, like what Damon Jones was doing, saying he passed along LeBron James injury information for gamblers to bet on games. Now to say that LeBron associates are, quote, cooperating in the NBA gambling scandal, that makes it worse. This is, like you said, and I've said this also on other shows, that this is going to get way worse before a resolution officially comes to the forefront.
Man, I mean, just when you think you know everything that's going on, Nick, a story like this breaks and then boom goes the dynamite.
The more you know.
Pretty much. All right, Nick, back to college football. And finally, a resolution for James Franklin, who has a new landing spot. He has accepted the role of the head coach at Virginia Tech in the middle of the season. The move comes after he was again fired by Penn State earlier this season following a dismal start to the year, though, including losing 3 consecutive games in very much embarrassing fashion to bottom feeder programs of the Big Ten, and also moving, and he moves, though, from Penn State to a currently right now underperforming ACC program, is right now a major shakeup for the college football coaching landscape, raising questions about his career trajectory and the future of both Penn State and even Va Tech. Nick, what does the decision, though, for Franklin to finally take a job, though, at Va Tech mean, though, in your opinion, after his firing from Penn State?
That he's a top 10 head coach and he deserves to have a job. Penn State's a shitty athletic department and organization. They've never run anything fairly well since the whole Paterno situation.
I was just going to say, they haven't recovered from the Paterno-Sandusky scandal at all. They have never recovered from it.
And why did they fire James Franklin? He's had a decent tenure there for, 17 years, I want to say? I thought I heard them throw out the other day. But I want to look this up just to make sure I get this right. 12. Okay. He was there for 12 years from 2014 until obviously 2025. But he's a great coach. He was always going to land on his feet somewhere. I'm surprised it happened mid-season, right before the CFP. Not that Va Tech was going anywhere by any means, but usually you don't see moves to recreate a regime until a season is over. That's usually the case. That happens in college football. Did I really expect that James Franklin was never going to get a job again? Because if he didn't, he would have ended up on College Game Day or Big Noon Kickoff, or he would have ended up somewhere.
Big Ten Network, NBC, Peacock, somewhere.
So I'm surprised how fast this took place.
Same.
But he was always going to find another job. Always. Now, I don't know ranking-wise, maybe you would know better than me, where Virginia Tech, that's more a smaller-ish level school, or is that like a mid-level?
I would probably call them mid-level program, because I think that they are known. They are a polytechnic institution and state university where they are mainly all about agriculture and mechanical work.
That's where Michael Vick went, right?
Yes.
So they did have some NFL players come out of there.
I think Eddie Royal, longtime former receiver, also went to Va Tech at one point.
I'm looking it up to see. All right, Tyrod Taylor went to Virginia Tech. D'Angelo Hall, Cam Chancellor, Eddie Royal.
Joe Mantiply, who pitches for the Diamondbacks, came out of Va Tech. Joe Saunders also came from Va Tech.
David Clowney,
Del Curry.
So there is a lot of big name athletes that have come out.
Bruce Arians,
Logan Thomas, Ante Exum, Chuck Clark, Tremaine Edwards. So they do create some NFL athletes out of there.
Ken Pomeroy, who's a college basketball stat specialist, also went there.
So it does exist, I guess.
Yeah.
So he's not going to a slouch school by any means.
No, he's not. I think at one point that they had their run, though, when Vic was there. They got a 3-7 record, it looks like, on the season. They're playing Miami, 14th ranked on Saturday morning in Blacksburg. They're currently 11th right now in the standings. They are right now tied with NC State and Belichick at 2-4 when it comes to ACC scheduling or their record. And they're 3-7 overall, 2-4 in conference play. So, obviously Franklin comes in middle of the year, Nick. Give him 2 years, I think, and he'll get that program hopefully up to snuff in the ACC.
By the way, some interesting news. around the NFL that I just found out also. So I don't know if I told you that CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens missed the first or second drive of the Cowboys game.
Yeah,
Against,
I think Brian Schottenheimer called it coach's decision, and they were not injured.
so Calvin Watkins, who covers the Cowboys for the Dallas Morning News, said that CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens missed curfew before the game at Las Vegas. The two were having dinner and a few drinks at Red Rock Casino.
Oh, great.
Now, there was a report that came out that Lamb was like ossified, drunk, and spewing.
In other words, he was Bradley Cooper in the Hangover.
Yeah, and he apparently was yakking everywhere, supposedly.
Oh, man.
No. That's what the report was. What
Yes.
Calvin Watkins is saying, CeeDee Lamb said he and George Pickens missed curfew before the game because they were having dinner and a few drinks at Red Rock Casino. Lamb denied he was throwing up at the casino. He said it's a disrespect to even suggest that. Lamb said he knows how to hold his liquor. But why are you drinking before a game?
Why
Or
are you
before
eating?
curfew.
Why
Or
are you
before-
eating? Why though are you eating at a casino nonetheless in Las Vegas, Nevada, knowing what's going on in professional sports right now?
That's
just saying.
That's a good point.
I'm just saying.
I digress. But to finish this story up, it's a good move. He was going to end up getting another job. The guy's too good. And I think that because people can say, oh, is it James Franklin's issue? Like why he didn't. No, I think Penn State is just a terribly run athletic department.
I think so. And again, they never have really fully recovered from the Paterno Sandusky scandal.
Yeah. I mean,
and it's crazy to think, Nick, how a scandal like that could rock a program for as long as it has at Penn State.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what happens. I think he'll perform, but we'll see what happens.
I think so.
The best place to watch sports is with other fans, and that place is Playback TV. Jump into the community, watch the games live with your favorite hosts on the Empty the Bench channel. Sign up free at playback.tv and never watch sports alone again. Playback.tv/ETB network to join us tomorrow for Amazon Prime doubleheader for the NBA. Callan and Christy will start you on the way while we're recording a football forecast, and I'll be there for game 2. So join us, playback.tv/ETB network, and help our community grow.
Yeah, so we'll see how our 2 games go. Again, we got the Pacers, Cavs, and then for the nightcap, we've got Denver and Houston in Emirates NBA Cup action tomorrow across Prime Video.
That's the game I'm more interested in, by the way. Game 2.
Yeah, and the Rockets have won, 5 in a row now. Denver's, up there again.
Triple-double machine. They call it.
Are you making another run for an MVP at this rate?
He's got to be the runaway. If Giannis didn't get hurt.
No, that, and we also thought Luka could have been too, though, at one point in time. And I think he still is right now because of how they play without LeBron.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, if Jokic is not the MVP, then I think that's a travesty. Seriously.
All right, Nick, one last story for the show before we get to our press clippings and get out of here for the day and for the week. Nick, in very tragic news again, we learned about the shooting death of John Beam, the legendary coach at Laney College in Oakland, California, who, again, we know very well from Netflix's Last Chance U. But, Nick, in a very weird, scary twist of fate, just the day before John Beam was shot and killed on campus, Coach Beam made a public presentation advocating for urgent campus safety improvements. John was highlighting inadequate security responses to a recent field house break-in, and stated further he felt the campus was less safe following the Peralta Community College District's decision to rip up the contract with the Alameda County Sheriff's Office in 2020. His death tragically underscored the exact concerns he was fighting to address. Nick, obviously, the death, though, of Coach Beam was met with massive outpouring from players who made it out of Last Chance U. Damian Lillard, who, again, is from the Bay Area, went to Weber State and knew Coach Beam very well, was very much emotional with his public commentary. But, Nick, does the death, though, of Coach Beam, coming right after his public plea for improved campus safety and security, demand a fundamental reassessment of security protocol and funding across all college districts that have been reduced or that have reduced their reliance on traditional law enforcement practices?
This is bad. Bad optic. you cancel the sheriff's department on
In a way, Nick, this is disgraceful.
I had a whole conversation with you the other night about how I worked in a school district. Now,
I work at a public university here in San Diego.
so when you and I were kids, going to elementary, middle school, and high school was probably the first time we saw any security in a school, just because people do dumb things in a high school.
Seeing police cars around your campus, security driving golf carts on foot, more faculty walking around to keep it safe. Even not really with college. Maybe when I was at my Division II university, Nick, I saw more law enforcement around the campus at PLNU more than at USD. But I would agree, though, that was probably freshman year of high school that you saw that this was like legitimate
security.
But
what I don't love about this is you cancel the contract, you terminate the contract with the Alameda County Sheriff's Office in 2020. Now, who knows why they terminated it? I have no idea. But it doesn't look good considering that Coach Beam was gunned down in public or on the campus. And he was talking about it doesn't look good from us. I shouldn't be laughing right now.
I brought him in to relieve the tension of the story because I don't like talking about tragedy like this happening, especially, Nick, as we both have said, though, you went to a 4-year university. I work at a 4-year university. And literally yesterday, I spent 3 hours of my morning doing training for, harassment compliance, but also safety protocols in the event that something happens on the campus. And also, thankfully, my cell phone will notify me with either a call or a text from USD Public Safety if there's stuff going on campus. Now, again, I only work, though, Nick, at the sports venues. I don't work on campus directly, but I'm on campus, though. But the football stadium, the basketball arena, the baseball field, the softball field, the tennis courts in the pool. Even then, though, Nick, you brought this up, though, I believe last night. I see those giant, payphone booths that read emergency with the blue light on it. And you just have to push the button and tell them, hey, we got something going on here. And then it will notify the whole public safety circuit of the university.
So this is mostly in the elementary district I worked in, where I actually went to school over 20 years ago now, which is crazy.
Yes.
They have the buttons on the wall and they're encased, almost like a fire alarm, but
in case of emergency break glass. Yeah.
But this is different because if you push this is like legal binding, like this new technology.
You push it and it's a false alarm. You're getting fined or put in jail.
Right. So, and they don't want kids accidentally pushing it because it locks down the school from the inside.
Right.
With one push of a button, all the doors, when you walk into any school now, elementary school district, all the doors are now coded essentially to work within a system of a school. So we had to do lockdown drills, and I wasn't technically working for the school directly. I was working as part of the childcare system for the. Yeah. We had to do drills. So one was lockdown, and I forgot what the other one is called.
Evacuating fires.
Well, no, we had to do the one where you go inside the cafeteria thing and you close the doors. I forgot what it's called now. But they sound the thing off and they say, "Oh, someone's in the
active shooter drills."
Right. So active shooter drills, and then there's another one. I can't remember, but they're two different things. One, we have to evacuate, where we have to go outside to the recess area and walk all the way out. And then the one where the active shooter, we literally had to hide the kids behind the cafeteria register area inside the cafeteria. And the doors, as soon as they hit the button,
they all lock.
And they close. So we had to hold it open so the kids could get in, and then that's how so to remove security 4 years ago and not to have any sheriff's office involved or police security involved.
I think, Nick, that the fact that Coach Beam is killed the day after the video went public. about him advocating for it. Nick, how in the world though can any college or university, yes, I get about pre-K, preschool, elementary, middle, and high school. Nick, college campuses though, man, you hear so many sleazy things that happen.
I
You
think
know,
you need it everywhere.
I mean, it's everywhere.
No,
But
but
how?
you need it everywhere. Is what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
you do. But more importantly, how can a college or a university, or for that matter, any school, have rip up the contract with law enforcement to not have anyone on site? Like, okay, you're gonna have the principal be the lead guy in charge or lead person in charge, or
When
I don't get it. I don't understand it.
when I went to, because the middle school counted as part of our district for elementary, so
Mhm.
sometimes they would send me to the middle school. The middle school actually has, now some schools have it, some don't. They park a security vehicle now
Yeah.
by the entrances, or at least enough to the point where you can't just go and take off inside. Like, and you literally have to roll your window down. Now, I had my school ID,
Right.
even though it was such a pain because they wouldn't ID us for every school. They only ID'd us technically for whatever, like, actual school we were doing most of the time.
Yeah.
So I'd have to go up to security and say, "Hey, I'm here. Like, I'm here to help at this school," and they'd have to let me in, even though I had the ability technically for an ID to work. But because they're so incessantly tight about this, that they won't even make our IDs work for all the schools
Hmm.
as part of the district, even if we're asked to fill in when I was filling in at different schools. So for a college not to have a police department on campus, and we just saw that stupid incident at South Carolina, I think, where
So
where the wide receiver ran after he got the touchdown, he got hurt, and they ran into the, or was that Texas?
no, that was South Carolina A&M, and I don't think it was the pulled hamstring play, but it was a play though where the Texas State trooper bumped the player from
It
South
was.
Carolina.
No, because they were going to help him because he ran
Yeah.
back
He got and the trooper got relieved of his duties after the game concluded.
because he's like, "Oh, don't hit me," blah 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 blah. Blah. Which, by the way, that's really stupid. Anyway, but first of all, I really don't think you need as much security inside of an arena as much as you do outside on the campus.
Right.
But it also sounds like someone had it out for him after that went viral.
Which is just insane to think, Nick, that would be the case for a guy who was so beloved by the community. And again, it's the day, like within a day after the fact, that he makes that video that goes public.
Well,
that
you
this
saw
would happen.
you saw also Chicago Bears cornerback Nashawn Wright, who had an interception or whatever. I think it might have been a pick six, and he scored, and like he kind of broke down in during the game afterwards because he
played for Coach Beam at Laney and was on Last Chance U.
So it's a really tough situation. I mean, you need security. Like, you can't go, and people go, too much security. But do you want to end up in a situation like that?
No.
Like I said, I worked in a school district. You work on a college. There are more school shootings today than when you and I were kids in a school. There was no such, I shouldn't say that. There was really no active amounts of school shooting.
Not the volume we have now, Nick. And sadly, Columbine started it all. And then I remember the Vautech shooting happening because my mom picked me up from school that day and said there was a massive shooting at Virginia Tech. Now, our parents might remember Kent State happening back in the 70s. Then we had Columbine. Then we had Virginia Tech. Then we had other places. Thankfully, our public service team or public safety team at USD doesn't really intrude too much, but they do show up though during games at football, soccer, basketball, volleyball, what have you. But too much security would not help, or too much security is not a bad thing.
I'll never forget. So this is when I was still going to school at National Community College. At the time, I was making my way on campus. Now, I had a pass for the radio station, so I could park in that separate parking lot. I'm making my way on campus. I don't see any people really walking around. And So I make my way on campus, blah, 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 blah. I get inside the radio station because I go early before I had classes. And they said, how'd you get on campus? Well, I said, like I normally do. I drive in the entrance and I whatever. And they said, you do realize there was an active situation over at Broadway Mall, which is not too far from where the campus is. And I'm like, no. I said,
I was never notified.
And then after the fact, we get a notification from the NCC alert system that says, oh, well, there was an active shooter situation that took place at the mall. And I'm like, huh?
Yeah, after the fact.
I drove all the way on campus. I walked on campus. So what does that tell you? But that their system either delayed or effed up. One of the two. But
Agreed.
it is what it is. All right. Well, we got to do this quick because I have to be off.
Time out perfectly.
So let's quickly go through some of these press clippings. So obviously the big relaunch of NBCSN, the official relaunch of NBC Sports Network, which was rebranded as more focused, streaming first channel, highlights the consolidation and strategic repositioning occurring within major broadcast sports divisions. It's very much streaming.
It very much is. I think it's needed, though, too, because of how much of the influx we've had now with NBC getting involved. Obviously, football, basketball now, baseball next season. Olympic game coverage is coming in February for the Winter Games in Milan, Cortina, Italy, come February 6th. Who knows what else they're going to get their hands on here? Long overdue.
Yeah, I'm looking at the schedule just to kind of see. So they have a lot of the different things on NBCSN. Like they have Lebitard's show is now going to be on NBCSN. Dan Patrick's show is now going to be back on NBC SN again. Some different podcasts that they have from Peacock. So they're right. Fantasy Football Hour is going to be on with Matthew Berry. But those are all like streaming entities now, which used to be on the NBC TV channel. But yeah, that's pretty much. I'm surprised they brought it back a little bit because it flamed out, if you remember, big time, like in the 2010s.
Kind of after they lost the NHL rights, I want to say.
But now they're going to have MLB games are now going to be on there with the new deal. NBA games are going to be on there with the new deal. I think WNBA games will be on there at some point. So there's plenty of content that they can now use NBCSN as a channel. But the weird thing is, I think it's only on YouTube TV currently, right now.
Seems about right because I have not seen it back in my cable lineup just yet.
All right, let's move on. Florida Panthers Chick-fil-A deal. This one I chuckled at. The Florida Panthers signed a eccentric deal promising fans 8 free Chick-fil-A nuggets the following day if the team saves 30 or more shots at home, marking a creative new form of sponsorship activation and fan engagement. Is it really? Because the NBA, if the opposition misses 2 free throws, then you get whatever free food they're giving out.
Typically, Chick-fil-A tacos or chalupas from Taco Bell come to mind usually.
I've heard pizza before.
Pizza.
Did you see that weird viral video of that girl at the NBA game where like she's like, I didn't get my nuggets because like they would miss the front end of 2 free throws and then they would hit the second one each time, and she was just getting pissed off. I want my free food.
They have to miss both, not just one.
Who was the one that purposely missed the second? It was Gorgon, right? Or whatever.
Yes.
He got the memo. He was playing along. The game was a blowout, I think.
He was also a former Clipper, so he knew.
He was a Rocket at the time, right?
Yeah, either the Rock. Yeah, I think Rockets or Grizzlies, and he knew what to do. So
like he was a funny guy, so he kind of went along with the flow, which I thought was hilarious. But I don't think it's that much different.
No.
All right, Zora Stevenson, WNBA Finals candidate. This was already confirmed. Like she is going to be doing play-by-play for WNBA games, and because NBC is going to have WNBA games if there is a season.
And she'd be the lead candidate right now for the finals. I think that'd be amazing.
So Zora's a leading candidate to call the WNBA Finals on NBC in 2026, a move that would elevate a talented female broadcaster to one of the most viable positions in women's sports broadcasting. What other options do you have?
I don't know. I mean, I really want to know who else would be on the table for NBC to use for WNBA coverage.
Unless they're going to hire out, depending on which networks don't have it anymore.
True. That is a true point. Yeah.
Finally, MLS succession planning. MLS owners have formally hired the Miles Group to lead succession planning for Commissioner Don Garber's exit, acknowledging the need for a careful tension as the league enters a critical phase of growth. Wait, they're finally doing something that's needed to be done for a while?
Yeah, I wouldn't really go that far and say that it's needed like that. I'm thinking more along the lines, Nick, of the fact that it was Doug Logan who was the first commissioner of Major League Soccer. He had a deputy with him. I think Don came in roughly 4 to 5 years into the league when they were expanding, then contracting, expanding, contracting. I mean, Nick, there's been no scandals underneath his watch. There's been nothing that's gone haywire, in my opinion, at least, though. He's grown the league to 30 teams, so they're on par with the NBA and Major League Baseball. Yes, is the Apple TV deal, a flop? Sure it is. I mean that's one thing. But to grow, though, Nick, a foreign sport like soccer, much like hockey is, foreign in certain markets in North America, to even think about this now, where I think Nick got an extension that carries him at least 2, if not beyond, next year's World Cup in the States in North America, and that I think Don's been a great soldier. Now, yes, are there some things that could have been done differently, though, with either the media right deals or how teams can build out the rosters? Sure. But I think, though, when there's thankfully, or knock on wood, no gambling BS happening, and other than them actually suspending their best player for missing out on the All-Star game and missing out on the obligation, this is kind of shocking that this is even kind of becoming a factor. But I think, though, you probably, in a way, when a commissioner's been there for so long, at least begin to get those, proverbial ducks in the row.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's more politicking than anything. I think
I think it is probably.
Final update from McMenamin, by the way. The Los Angeles Lakers have assigned Bronny James to South Bay. Now, some people are saying because they don't play again until Sunday, maybe they're sending him down to get a game rep or two. But as the bullshit hits the fan for the Lakers,
that story came out of left field.
All of a sudden, I see Shams, and I'm like, "Wait, what? What's going on here?" But yeah, I don't know. Was there anything else left before we hit the road, Jack?
I don't think so. Anything else that you would like to bring up?
I don't think so. We have to figure out when our next episode is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird because I work Monday, Tuesday. My off days Wednesday, and of course the turkey days on Thursday. And I'm working on Friday, so it might be Wednesday for all that we know.
Which actually might work out because most of the shows are off, and we're doing forecast on Tuesday. So Wednesday might be viable, actually, because it's the day before Thanksgiving. So actually, aren't we doing games that day though?
We are actually. We got a triple header that day.
So actually, we can't do press row that day.
Maybe get to take a week sabbatical finally?
Unless we're getting up early and doing press row, or if we're doing a press row post game show after.
Oh man, that is true.
When is the first game?
2:00 Pacific, I think.
Early coffee with press row?
Yikes.
That would be like a 12-hour day.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe we could do a short version. Maybe the pre-show. Maybe we do an hour press row pre-show leading into...
Maybe.
That might be the way to go.
I think that's what we'll do next week for episode 25. Can you believe it? 25!
Or maybe it's not an official episode. Maybe we just do an hour of press row. And then we'll come back with 25 the week after. First week of December.
I can't believe we're already there. Goodness.
But yeah, make sure you check us out on social media at ETB Network, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, Kick, anywhere else we might be on.
Are we missing anything? I don't think so.
Just don't say OnlyFans because we're not on there. But
oh my God, man.
Wow. By the way, you do know there are people that use OnlyFans for content-driven purposes, right?
That's a scary thought.
I'm talking about non-you-know-what content. Like,
yes.
there's some boxers, and I've seen that.
There's a lot of boxers who use it. I don't understand it.
But not for explicit content. Like, they'll do, like, extra, like, bonus content in there. And I forgot which comedian it was who has a deal, like, where they do their content stuff on OnlyFans as an exclusive, which I know OnlyFans is disgusting.
By the way, also Nick, reverting back to the Major League Soccer schedule coming out for 2026, they also have picked the All-Star Game host city as well for next season.
Okay.
Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina.
It's interesting.
The opponent, which is usually a overseas team or usually the Liga MX, the Mexican Professional League All-Star team, will be announced later time and date. But I just kind of read through the press release for the upcoming season. Crazy to think that they already have next year already lined up and ready to go.
That's a good point.
By the way, 34 games on cable TV.
It's about damn time.
15 games on Fox and 19 on FS1.
Oh, NBC Sports PR just put something out too. Let's see.
Let's check it out before we get out of here for the day.
Coast to Coast Tuesday. Aren't we a little behind that?
Yeah, what's going on?
Oh, Coast to Coast Tuesday, Emirates NBA Cup doubleheader on November 25th. Oh, that's the Lakers-Clippers battle. That's the one I don't think you can be here for.
I'm joining in progress if that's the case, because the game's at 8 o'clock local time out here.
Fuck. It's actually a good doubleheader. It's Clippers, Lakers, and Sixers, Magic.
Yeah, because I think that's when next week is when they start going Tuesday, Friday, I think, for NBA Cup nights, because we're getting close to the end of the tournament.
And then they have for NBA Monday, which you're not even going to be here for anyway.
No.
You're soccer bound.
Yep.
After
Durant, I work at 11 o'clock in the morning, too.
Kevin Durant returns to Phoenix as the Rockets visit the Suns on the bench coverage.
Oh, I can stop.
Yes, because I need Austin Rivers, who awkwardly interviewed his father the other day.
That had to be weird.
And he said, he called him Doc. And he said, Austin, I'm father. That was the funniest thing ever. But they have Rockets, Suns, and then they have Cavs, Raptors. Wait a minute. Oh, is that the day that Trevor and I are doing the one slate through Monday?
We're doing you guys are doing the 7 o'clock Eastern window, I think, on Monday.
He's been a good ad since we've
takes a bit of stress off you and me.
That was such a funny moment the other night. Also,
And I had to say 6-7 forwards quite often on Tuesday when I was doing college basketball too.
Wait, really?
Yes.
But I'm going to stop babbling because I have to go help my mom do something. But
I'm going to go get lunch and ready to go to work.
Yeah, follow us on social media at ETB Network, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, Kick. Am I missing anything?
I think that's it.
Like I said, all our playback content is on Twitch and Kick and on YouTube stills. It's all simulcasted there. So please go watch and subscribe. Playback Lounge starts January 5th, 2026. I almost said 25. You ever do that? Like where you're like you're either at the beginning of the year?
I am that way the first week of the new year where I still write the year before.
Yes, that was always me. And like, sir, it's 2026 or 2020.
It takes me about 5 to 10 days to get it right.
So check that out. Playback Lounge, January 5th, 2026, midnight to 2 a.m. Eastern. And we will have a weekend edition of Playback Lounge. More details will come out at the end of the year while we finalize everything. So there'll be 2 versions of Playback Lounge. Don't miss Empty the Bench Small Market Edition, episode 1. Officially, you heard episode 0 already.
Yes, episode 1 comes out next Friday on Black Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern.
What a gift. And it's free.
And it's free.
Free. Yes. Yes. Okay. Anyway.
Let's get out of here. Shut it down. Let's go home.
Do we know? Oh, wait. So we don't know when our next show is technically, right? Or do we?
Our next live, full episode will be probably
2 weeks. 2 weeks, probably.
2 weeks, yeah.
But we'll do an hour pre-show probably leading into the triple header, probably. Yeah. So that'll be probably 1 p.m. Eastern, probably.
Yes.
Leading up. So we'll do some media stories in that hour.
We will.
Get you caught up around Thanksgiving as we get you ready for Turkey Day.
Gobble gobble.
Ugh. Do you get that weird sleep feeling on Thanksgiving or no?
The post Thanksgiving nap is 30-0. It might be 31-0 come Thursday.
All right, quick. Top 2 or 3 Thanksgiving foods.
Ham, green bean casserole, apple pie.
Green bean casserole, really?
Yeah.
I like the sweet potato and the marshmallow.
There you go.
That's my favorite. I'm a cranberry staple. Nope, and people are gonna nag on me, but I only like the gel, the can. I've tried others. I like stuffing.
They have it. Canned bread. This town is great.
And that's a good way to end the episode. For Counterpart,
have a good day.
We'll see you for NBA triple header coverage Wednesday. That'll probably be our next official hour, but you'll see us in 2 weeks to get you ready for the end of 2025.
Yes, you will. Have a great day, everybody.